Well, a good Thursday morning. I think a tad less human than we've had here in recent days. Mark Dykton, how long do you think you and I have been in studio doing shows together? How many years would you guess?
Guys, have been 6, more than that.
Yeah, I was going to throw a ballpark number of 7 around there. So about 7 years.
I was going to say, I think I had one child at the time, so
yeah, I think
that'd be right then. Addison, yes.
I think I was childless, and that's probably why I had maybe a little bit more hair back then. But thank you to We Grow Hair Andy for putting some more hair back on. It stuns me that as I walk in the studio here on July 17th, the start of the final golf major of the year.
Oh,
the TV is off. Are you? What?
It's on over here. That's the problem. Is I see it over here, and I don't see it over there. My bad. I've aired. I hang my head in shame. I see you brought the guns to the studio today, so you were trying to intimidate me with physical violence.
Yeah.
For those who can't see on the YouTube chat, Kevin rocking a tank top today. I think a first in our friendship. I don't know if I've ever seen this before.
We have first on each of our sides of the studio today. Yeah, again, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I don't know, Mark. He looks like he means business right now.
Yeah, I got my Shelvin Mack Butler jersey on. Shout out to Mike Freeman, who delivered us this, James Boyd, at Carb Day.
Yes, I threw one on that same day. It was a nice...
On stage. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing my JMV impression right now with this look here. By the way, I went on with JMV yesterday afternoon. He wasn't too happy with you, James Boyd.
Yeah, I know. I knew he was going to bring this up.
He said that you bailed on basketball again, which, again, bailing on basketball at JMV is like Mark Dykton not turning on the TV
it's like a cardinal sin
Open.
for him. But, yeah, I had to work the Fever game. I had to write 2 stories out for that game for Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark. And I was thinking, if I go hoop at 8 o'clock, go hoop at 8 o'clock. I don't know what other term you might have come to mind, Mark Dykton. But, yeah, I was thinking.
I replaced the H with a P. I was like, what?
Oh, no.
Me?
Well, you do have to poop
Sounds
sometimes.
like one of my children here.
But, yeah, I had to go hoop that morning. I was thinking if I did, and I get done at about 10 a.m., and I got to be over by the arena by about 10:45, I just didn't want to try to swing that and also have to work all day right after. So I figured he would give me some crap for that, but that's JMV.
Well, speaking of the Fever, there are more stories to write on that. We'll certainly hit it on this Thursday morning. Thank you, Mark Dykton.
Are we friends again?
For turning on the British Open. Jakob Skov Olsen is our leader, the 26-year-old Dane, I believe. He is at 5 under par. Lee Westwood, arguably the best player in the field without a major if you look at the overall resume of his career. He is at 3 under. That would be quite the win for overseas. And you got some other names at 2 and 1 under as the likes of Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, and company getting underway here. Round 1 over at Royal Portrush.
Did you spread some money around? We didn't discuss this.
Yeah,
did you put any money down for anybody?
I did dabble. I got Fitzpatrick top 10, which I'm happy about that, seeing him at 2 under. But basically, I need Hatton, Ludwig Oberg, or Victor Hovland.
Gotcha.
I kind of hedged with the big names, and then those 3 I mentioned I could win money on. So
now is this like a Pacers over win total kind of bet? Like you're going to be bringing the kids out to like West Palm or something?
No, it would pay for a nice a half liter of Fat Dan's visit for the weekend for the Bowen family, which honestly is a pretty good weekend. So
some would say that's better.
Yeah, we'll see how things play out. Obviously, busy All-Star festivities. We saw the unveiling yesterday of the Tamika Catchings mural. I thought a really cool-looking mural, not just like one individual picture of Catch. I mean, plenty of them up there. And, when you talk about Mount Rushmore of athletes in our city, she certainly has a spot on that. So All-Star festivities will, again, continue to take place. We'll keep you posted all weekend long. Pacers will be in Summer League action. That is late afternoon today with the Chicago Bulls. I guess at some point today, do we have to talk about a possible reunion of a former Pacer All-Star? Did I see that yesterday?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank
Do tell.
Here. Yeah, I was going to say, this is quite the tease, honestly.
Well, I guess my general hesitancy and my voice inflection probably tells you where I think.
Oh, yeah.
Or what I think
like it's good.
Of this possible reunion here. So we'll hit on that at some point. And again, Colts training camp starts to get closer and closer. So we are 5 days away from report day on the Colts front, and we will touch on that on this Thursday morning. But, James, let's start with last night. Fever lose. I don't think that was a shock at all. I think I expected the Liberty to be in control of that one with Caitlin Clark out. Update from Stephanie White, relatively vague. Still day-to-day. Had an MRI. I guess she was listed as questionable initially. I was frankly stunned to see her even listed as questionable, and then was eventually ruled out. You've got any gut feel about Caitlin Clark's availability for tomorrow night in the 3-point or Saturday in the actual All-Star game?
Well, I'll just give you my opinion on what should happen. And what should happen is she doesn't participate because she's hurt. But I thought Stephanie White's comments before the game yesterday, when she was throwing up a couple of questions about Caitlin Clark and her status for All-Star Weekend, I believe Stephanie White basically just deferred to Caitlin Clark and her team. And according to reporting from Chloe Peterson of Indy Star, covers the Fever, that was in reference to Caitlin Clark's agency and inner circle as to whether she will participate in All-Star Weekend. And I guess the Fever don't really have much of a say in that because it's an extracurricular type of thing. But my thinking is that if you are not healthy, do not play in a game and do not, run around 3-point line trying to shoot a bunch of threes if you're just not physically able to do so. Now, I know it's disappointing. And I also think the league, if she doesn't participate in this, Kevin, kind of like how we've seen with these other injuries, they're going to continue to say she's day-to-day because they probably hope that people continue to show up.
Yeah, that is a good point. I think if the Fever had say in this, there's no chance in the world she would play.
I know.
But it sounds like this is squarely in the Clark team camp, which I think is a heavily decision-making team. I mean, they're the ones that make so much of the decisions. In regards to her, there's part of me that's like, could she go rack to rack in a very jogging manner and take? I don't know.
It's based off speed and timing, but my biggest thing is like, I understand everyone wants to see her, and I have had the fortunate opportunity to see her play often, so I can't really speak to that first experience being taken away from you. However, I just cannot imagine the optics or the conversation if she gets out there and she makes it worse.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And that's my biggest fear is like, I understand you want to deliver for the fans. And that's a burden that I believe Caitlin Clark has that's unique to her in women's basketball, where so many people want to see just you, and that's just the God honest truth. But within that, pressure, remember to keep yourself as safe as possible, because I just don't want this to become a thing where we're looking back on it and we're like, why did you do this when you didn't have to?
Coming up at 9 o'clock today, we're going to chat with Shane Sumpter. He has been the Westfield boys basketball coach for about a decade, and that the early part of that included obviously coaching Braden Smith, Purdue point guard. And, James, I think in the summer, we had Tyrone Tracy Jr., for example, on earlier in the week. These are some of the guests that I enjoy having on, of like stories that maybe don't become top of mind when we get into whatever the thick of football season, or, the Pacers obviously making a run all the way to Game 7. But, Braden Smith at Purdue is going to go down, and if this final season, ends the way that many people think it will end, he's going to go down as one of the greatest players, not only ever to wear a Purdue uniform, but frankly, to play basketball collegiately in the state. He's got an unbelievable resume already, and if it ends at Lucas Oil Stadium in the Hollywood fashion that many Purdue fans want to see it, that could be just a hell of a story. And maybe unlike some other great college basketball players from the state, this was not a 5-star recruit that everybody was knocking the doors down. COVID, I think, impacted maybe some of that, but still, Purdue and Matt Painter were really one of the very few high major teams to seek out Braden Smith. So looking forward to that conversation. Just a different way, I think, to get a little bit more on the Purdue point guard, as, we're not obviously close to college basketball season yet, but on the storylines that we will have here on the horizon, Purdue is preseason ranked 1, 2, 3, however you want to look at it. I think Vegas actually has them as a favorite. I want to say Braden Smith is one of the 2 or 3 favorites for Naismith College Basketball Player of the Year in the preseason. I'm looking forward to that combo.
Yeah, I see in the YouTube chat, shout out to Gritty, who's in here every day. She says, as an IUBB fan, I am ready for Braden Smith to graduate. I wish IU had a player like him. And I'm sure the rest of the country wish they had a player like Braden Smith. He is quite the talent. Did not think personally he would be as good as he is. And honestly, selfishly, Gritty, I might be ready for him to graduate too, solely because whenever I Google Braden Smith, I have to be very specific about if it's the Colts offensive lineman or the Purdue star. And so I am always making sure I get, when the face pops up, I'm like, that's the wrong one I'm looking for at the moment. But I'm looking forward to the college season.
Yeah, so we'll have that coming up at 9 o'clock today. Boy, I'm looking in the YouTube chat. It's pretty pathetic. First time I've probably worn a cutoff in years. It's pretty pathetic what my arms look like.
Oh, I thought you were going to get mad at people for not complimenting you. Like, we got a few compliments in when you came in.
I mean, just
got the little farmer's tan going on. I like it.
Very farmer tan and just saggy and soft. They look like pillows.
We got to work on the self-talk here this morning.
God.
That's why I can't wear a tank top. A tank top, you need a lot of self-confidence to rock the tank top.
I think it's a good summer look. I really love the jersey, frankly. TBT this week at Hinkle, by the way. If you want to watch a little Butler alumni. I
was thinking, how much basketball can this state consume in like the next couple of days, which is so fitting.
Yeah, even on July 17th.
Yeah,
here we are.
Seriously, I was thinking you got All-Star Weekend. If you get tired of that, if you can't make it into the All-Star game, feel free to head over to Hinkle and watch some basically throwback college basketball.
A couple Colts items I want to hit on today. We did see maybe a little bit movement in the second-round picks possibly being signed late last night. What does that mean for JT Tuimoloau? I know it's a topic we have discussed here. I want to bring up Alec Pierce and him in a contract year and just kind of how the NFL views him as well. And I did see a list of the first head coach most likely to get fired
I did
this
see
season.
That list, yeah.
And I want to spin it in a little bit of a different direction for you, James, of do you think Carly Gordon views those two, Ballard and Steichen, as tied at the hip? It's a question that I asked her at that press conference, I think, and I did a poor job probably of wording it. I think she internalized it as, do they mesh well together, working-wise?
Yeah.
And Ryan Grigson and Chuck Pagano are the poster child of not working well together. But, cohesively, I don't think I have a question about that. It's more of just like, hey, do you view a guy hired in 2017, Ballard, on the same page as a guy hired in, 2023? In Steichen. So we can go there, and we'll, again, get into the Pacers. I was stunned this guy was even trying to play basketball, even again.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about now because I'm thinking about this, and I did see this, and I just kept scrolling because I didn't think it was real, but we can definitely get into that for sure.
By the way, I like some of these WNBA rule changes for Saturday night.
Talking about three-point contest?
No, the actual game. They're going to have a...
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, a couple of these I like. So we'll get to that here as well on this Thursday morning.
Kevin's going to be in the Celebrity All-Star game, by the way. You see the jersey? He's ready.
Yeah.
Do they do that for the WNBA?
I'm not so sure, but I will talk to my people and have them put you out there in some
capacity.
capacity.
Can you imagine if I got in over JMV? How mad he would be?
Honestly, that would be hilarious.
Sure.
That would be so funny. My God, he would lose it.
Oh, he would be so mad. Jakob Skov Olsen. No chance I'm saying that right. 67 in the clubhouse. That is your opening round leader. It's still relatively early across the pond here as the British Open 153rd is underway from Royal Portrush. Good Thursday morning to you. Thanks for spending it with us. This is the Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton. All right, let's begin with the news of yesterday. That was the latest on Caitlin Clark. She indeed had an MRI on her injured right groin. The Fever initially listed her as questionable for last night's game with the Liberty, but then right before tip-off, she was ruled out. Her status for All-Star Weekend up in the air. Mark Dykton, let's share the Stephanie White clip from last night on just the long-term vision the Fever are having with the variety of Caitlin Clark injuries.
I think that we've approached it that way from a slow pace from the beginning. This might just be my ignorance, but I'm not really sure that it's a re-injury as much as a different kind of injury. I know oftentimes when you're working with injuries in the groin and the quad and the hamstring and all of those things, there's just they're all kind of tied together, and it's not always just one thing. So I think yes, absolutely, the big picture is the most important. For her health and wellness long term, and for our team, and to we've been very slow in making sure that every time she comes back that she's ready. So we'll continue to approach it like that. I mean, long term is the most important.
James, not sure if this analogy will resonate, but when I watch IndyCar races quite often, James Hinchcliffe, who does a great job on the broadcast, he will say, cautions breed cautions. When you have yellow flags and you have restarts, they usually lead to more action entertainment and more crashes and more yellows.
You know what? This is a good reference for my first 500 that I saw in person, because that is exactly what I experienced.
I feel that way about injuries. Injuries breed injuries. And unfortunately with Caitlin Clark right now, I think we're seeing that.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where she's not in a situation where it's as simple as I think if you were to ask any athlete, you'd almost be like, oh, I'd rather sprain my wrist or something than pull my groin or pull a hammy, because the latter injuries usually they only get better if you sit down for a long time, and you simply do not have the time to do that during the season, which is why I would at least try to prioritize this weekend her sitting down as much as possible and getting some rest and recovery.
Fever got smoked last night by Liberty. No surprise there, 98-77. You surprised at all that Lexi Hall was benched for Sophie Cunningham?
A little bit, mainly because I understand Caitlin's been in and out of the lineup, but that was another kind of like toggle with the lineup, and I just wonder about the continuity and the clarity of roles, at this point in the season, which is a little bit more defined for most teams, whereas with the Fever, it still seems like it's in flux.
All right, 2 games left for the Pacers out in Vegas today, 4:30 against the is it the Bulls or the Knicks? I think I said the Bulls earlier. Might be the Knicks. 4:30 today. I believe that's ESPN2. And then tomorrow will be their final Summer League game. That is actually on big ESPN at 9 o'clock against the Pelicans.
It is the Knicks, by the way.
Yeah, they lost the Bulls on Monday.
That was it.
That was the Johnny Furphy dunk.
That was. Remembered. How could I forget? We'll see about Furphy. And as you reach this point of the Summer League, sometimes more of your frontline guys don't play. Selfishly, I would like to see Furphy and Cam Jones and those guys continue to play. So 2 left out in Vegas for the Pacers. 4:30 today, 9 o'clock tomorrow. Again, WNBA All-Star Week really going to pick up pace today. Honestly, the big part of today will be behind the scenes. A lot of meetings from a CBA standpoint that will go on. I have a feeling those could be a bit contentious. So a big day for the future of the league. Announced yesterday some of the rules for Saturday night's game. Again, Friday night we'll have the 3-point contest and the skills competition. James, on Saturday night, a few of the rules. 4-point shot, which we've seen before.
Yeah, I like that.
4-point shot, so there'll be little circles. You'll picture it, frankly, where Caitlin Clark shoots some of her threes. That will be there, 2 on each end of the floor. 20-second shot clock. That is super fast. Hockey like live playing subs.
I kind of like that.
I don't think I like that.
I kind of do. Just rushing the floor. Get off!
Part of me is like, you want
to
try
just
to keep
cherry pick?
I do see why. Yeah, for like the loophole artists like yourself, then possibly, I don't know. Is there a rule within the rule change?
Who knows? And then I do like the last one. No free throws until the final 2 minutes of the fourth. I like just game flow. People are not out there to watch All-Star shoot free throws.
Wait a second here. If I get hacked, well, what's happened? We just checking up like we're at the park?
Yeah, that is a good question. I don't know the exact.
I'll be out there like Dennis Rodman, just taking people out.
Taking up top.
Yep.
Second up top.
No
So,
blood, no foul.
Yeah,
Couple rule
that is going to be
changes.
interesting how they work that out.
From Saturday night. Good Morning America will be live from Bicentennial Plaza. I'll never forget when the Today Show was live at IMS, and I mean the expression on Colleen Bowen's face. Oh my gosh, she might have been the happiest day of her life. So
Is that the Matt Lauer days, or how long ago was that?
I don't believe so. I don't think my mom was a big Matt Lauer fan once it was all said and done with him. But nonetheless, all 60-year-old women here, I'm sure, are rejoicing about Good Morning America being live here tomorrow. That's about it on my end, unless you guys got anything else. IndyCar up in Toronto this weekend. Scott Dixon has been great up there. Colton Herta, your defending champ. It's a busy month of July, continues for IndyCar. And like we said, TBT tournament at Hinkle. 4 games on Saturday. You'll have alumni teams for Butler and Indiana taking part in that. Certainly some names you'll recognize on those rosters. You guys had James Blackman Jr. on last week. Were there any other Indiana guys that you knew or of note on that roster?
Well, I think the biggest one would probably be Yogi. And,
certainly that'll draw some eyes.
Obviously, there's a lot of love there for him, both from the high school standpoint and the college standpoint.
He had more than a cup of coffee in the NBA, right?
Yeah. I thought he was going to actually pan out a little bit better, but still.
Troy Williams, is he still around?
Yeah, he's on there.
Okay. Well, that Indiana team's got a couple dudes in.
Yeah. James Blackman Jr. did tell us, though, that he most likely will be on a minutes restriction or possibly not even play because he's coming back from a knee injury. But he was just saying he was excited to, one, get back into the flow of playing basketball at a high level and being around some of his former teammates and others who have obviously brought some joy to the IU program.
All right, coming up on the other side, speaking of IU, is there a reunion of a former Pacer All-Star taking place here of one Victor Oladipo? We'll hit on that and much more from a Colts point of view as we're less than a week away from things getting started at Grand Park. This is the Fan Morning Show here on 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. All right, good Thursday morning to you. Pacers back in action Summer League-wise. If you want to, you can set the DVR, ESPN2 for that. Coming up 4:30 today against the Knicks. Downtown is already, I would say, fairly busy. I would expect it to get even busier. WNBA All-Star activities will pick up today. Again, Convention Center tomorrow. White River Amphitheater for a little comedy, a little music event coming up this weekend. So plenty of activities, even if you don't have tickets to Friday night skills competition, 3-point competition, and then Saturday night, the All-Star game in itself. James Boyd, who's the oldest player on the Colts roster?
Oldest player on the Colts' roster? Ooh. Would it be Mo Alley Cox? I'm trying to think who's been in the league for a while.
Mo Alley Cox at 31 years old would be second on that list with two other guys who are very good at their respective crafts. But we have one person at 32.
Is it Zaire?
No, Zaire.
DeForest?
Forrest Buckner is one of the 31-year-olds. The other 31-year-old's Grover Stewart. So your 31-year-olds, Grove, Buckner, Mo Alley Cox. The 32-year-old?
The 32-year-old. Who's got a cane in the locker room?
Oh, this dude's got no cane, man. This is, I would say, one of the more, let's just say, if he rocked this Butler jersey with cut-off sleeves, it would look a little different than me rocking it right now.
Man, I'm drawing a blank here. I'm going to be mad when you tell me.
Luke Rhodes, the long snapper.
Oh, you know what? I did not think he was 32. I thought about picking him because he's been there for a long time. Yeah, he would look absolutely ridiculous.
So is he now the longest tenured Colt now that Ryan Kelly's in Minnesota?
Would it be him? It might be him, but it might be.
In Grover's 2017 draft, part of me thinks Luke Rhodes was part of like the previous year's undrafted class, like 2016 maybe. Initially, it was a linebacker when he came in the NFL, and then became a long snapper for this team.
Because I know like Rigo's been there for a while now. There's a lot of 2017 people, but yes, it looks like he would be the longest tenured Colt. That would be Luke Rhodes. 2016, he joined as a member of. It looks like he was an active member of the roster. You
have hit on this storyline a little bit, so I'll let you kind of take the baton from here. James, yesterday we saw the San Francisco 49ers sign their second-round pick, Alfred Collins. I believe the number Adam Schefter had was 88% of his second-round contract was guaranteed. This has been a holdup with these second-round guys. Again, training camp starting around the NFL. The Colts will start on Tuesday. You need to have your draft pick signed by then. Your thoughts on this potentially now that we've seen a contract not be fully guaranteed? Do you expect a domino effect from here?
Yes and no, which is not the best answer for radio, but I say that because even though Alfred Collins, the number 43 pick for, I believe, the 49ers, got 88% of his deal guaranteed from what The Athletic was reporting, that was a jump from the 78% guaranteed from last year's number 43 pick, which was Arizona's Max Melton, I believe the cornerback. So all of that in mind, I wonder if players will still try to fight for a higher number than their counterpart from the previous year. So in theory, if this guy got 61%, I need 67 of my deal guaranteed. And would that become the new fight? Whereas, one guy finally kind of conceded and said, you know what, I won't get the fully guaranteed deal. But the reason why that was such a, big sticking point is because I believe the two picks that did sign in this year's draft from the second round, which was Carson Schwarzenegger and Jaden Higgins, I believe they both got fully guaranteed deals. So that's why everyone else is trying to fight for the same thing. And I don't know, do you have enough leverage to kind of fight for that if you're JT Tuimoloau and others?
Yeah, I assume this will start some sort of domino.
I'm surprised the NFL kind of folded a little bit.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see if all, 29, 30 other picks would have had the same sort of stance that the first couple did. I would guess that I never really felt like this was a huge storyline. I just think, I don't know, it'd be a huge change of focus for all of a sudden all these second-round picks to band together and hold out. So I fully expect Tui Malawau to be practicing and sign by the time the Colts open up camp coming up on Tuesday. So I don't think this is too much of a thing. Let me throw this at you. Speaking of second rounders, hypothetically speaking, now I say hypothetically speaking, if the Colts were offered a second round pick for Alec Pierce, should they make that trade? Alec Pierce in a contract year.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah,
a second round pick is very good draft capital in the NFL.
Yeah.
For a player who could possibly walk for nothing.
And we've already discussed that, like, you've already paid Michael Pittman Jr. Josh Downs is due soon. Like, you can't pay everybody in the wide receiver group.
Yeah.
You still got hopes that A.D. Mitchell will turn into something. Someone offers you a second round pick. That's nothing to turn your
and
nose
his
at.
stock might not be higher than it is right now because of the quarterback play. Like, you can't really pencil Alec Pierce in to say, hey, he's going to have the exact same season as last year or perhaps a little bit better because the quarterback play here in Indianapolis has been so erratic and inconsistent.
I mean, I take that offer, and I don't think twice about it, quite honestly.
After losing Miles Turner for nothing, Indiana would never do that again. Got to get something. The state of Indiana deserves something for their players.
It's quite amazing. We are now 3 years into Alec Pierce's career. And again, he led the NFL last year in yards per catch. Guys,
Yes,
he
did.
averages 2.2 catches per game. I mean, think about that.
I know. He's such an anomaly. He's like an anomaly as a player.
Yeah, he is a unicorn at the wideout position. And it's not like he's had a year where it's like been really high or really low. I mean, if you look at it, he's been pretty steady throughout his career. He catches like a ball or two a game, and yet that ball or two oftentimes is a huge, huge play. So, again, hypothetically, perhaps the Colts maybe were even offered a second-round pick for Alec Pierce, and they clearly said no to that. But it sounds like both of you would have not said no to that.
What would you do, GM Kevin Bowen?
Boy, so much of it has got to be your faith in A.D. Mitchell. I definitely hear you guys out. A second-round pick is really valuable. I think a lot of it boils down to how you view the future at wideout. Because we discussed this a little bit yesterday. As much as Michael Pittman, as much as the thought is, oh yeah, if you believe in A.D. Mitchell, that impacts Alec Pierce's future here, I might counter and say, what about Michael Pittman's future? Again, this is year 2 of the 3-year extension for Pittman. He mentioned a reason why he only wanted 3 years on that second contract was because he wanted to get to the open market earlier. He wanted to get to the third deal. So theoretically, in his mind, that's going to come next offseason. You know, oftentimes guys view, hey, the year of the final season on my contract, I kind of view that as the time for the extension. I don't know. I part of me says I probably would do it, but I don't think I have as much conviction as you guys. I think Alec Pierce is I think he's a very rare weapon, and just because the Colts quarterbacks have stunk doesn't mean that Alec Pierce should be punished for that.
Can I counter your counter, though, and say if you were to accept that trade, you could just draft another wide receiver that is like Alec Pierce or younger, and you get him on a rookie deal as opposed to having to sign him to a contract
Yeah, but again, who's the second-round wideout? Is it Paris Campbell or is it Alec Pierce?
Well, you leave that up to the coaching staff and whoever the GM or coaching staff are to make that decision.
I think it's a little bit of a slap in the face to Alec Pierce to say, oh, just because you draft a wideout, you're going to hit on that wideout.
I don't think you're going to necessarily hit on it, but I'm just saying you're going to have to pay him otherwise. So if you're not going to take that second-round pick, then you are committing long-term and financially to him. And for a team that we really don't know what the future holds in a lot of positions after this season, are you really wanting to commit to a second wide receiver for the long-term future when you don't even know who's going to be throwing the ball next year?
To kind of throw it out there in a different way, and I believe I'm still teaming with Mark here, which works out well for me sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. But,
what the hell does that mean?
I
don't know if that was a compliment or a backhanded slap.
So sometimes I'm with you, Mark. Sometimes, we got a little, animosity. It's good for the radio.
Sounds like how some girl in college described a date with me. I'm like, wait, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think we've all been there. But getting back to the point here, I think my concern would be a wide receiver room that is headlined by Alec Pierce, A.D. Mitchell, and then, in theory, you would. Well, I'm sorry. If you moved on from Michael Pittman Jr., you would keep Alec Pierce in that regard. You would have A.D. Mitchell, and you have to still bring another receiver in. So would it be Alec Pierce, A.D. Mitchell, and Josh Downs? How do you feel about that? Like, I still think Pittman has a lot of value in the do it all kind of like possession receiver category that maybe we're overlooking the value in, because I still think that he is what kind of drives that room. And if you take him out of that room, does everybody else still eat the same?
All right, let's go one step further.
Is Alec Pierce the same player with Michael Pittman Jr. is not on the roster?
Would you rather give Alec Pierce a second contract or Michael Pittman Jr. a third contract?
How old is Pittman?
I'm going to guess 27, 28. Because I don't know
if
it's
28 in October.
Turns 28 in October.
I don't know if it's exactly that debate, but I think financially it might be that debate.
I might roll with Pitt. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like when healthy, he has produced with any quarterback, and he's still not like old and decrepit. He's aging, but he's not 32.
Yeah, I mean, he'll.
In theory, I would do like the similar deal that we just talked about. It would be 3 years, and you'd be done by your 30th age, 30th year of life.
You want a fourth contract?
Yeah,
it's talking 3 years.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I wouldn't sign him beyond. I would give him probably 3 years. Only 2 of them would be guaranteed, and then we find out from there. But yeah, I'd probably lean towards Pitt getting the third deal over Alec Pierce and getting the second deal.
I'm with
That's
James
just
there.
me, but because I just think that, and I love Alex's game, but
I think I'm in the minority here. Then Caleb goes, if anyone offered a second-round pick for Alec Pierce, they should immediately be fired. James Boyd.
I do think that. That's why I would take it. I would think that they were drunk.
But I think you and I both know that that was a deal placed in front of the Colts this past offseason. Victor Oladipo to the Pacers, I say hell no. But what is this? Growing momentum toward an Oladipo Pacers reunion? Jake Fisher is reporting this? Why? Why do I need to watch 33-year-old Victor Oladipo, who hasn't played basketball in 2 years, take minutes from Mathurin, Nembhard, Nesmith, Shepard, McConnell? I mean, hell, Cam Jones. This makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I don't get that at all. I don't like that at all. I mean, yuck. Why? Like, it's your point.
I think I said this when Tyrese went down in Game 7. When Victor went down with that knee injury, what was so crippling about it is Victor's game is explosive athlete. I need to be attacking the rim at reckless abandon. Like, I've got to play bigger than whatever he's listed at, 6'3". He's a streaky shooter, and he needs that to be a part of his game. And when that was stripped from him, then are you changing the British Open?
Well, it says Marcus Freeman is on the Good Morning America right now, so I figured you'd get your Notre Dame football.
Can you imagine what Marcus Freeman would look like in this jersey versus what I look like in this jersey?
It's not even close. I just wanted to see what your reaction would be. I can't find the affiliate.
Every time I try to put the guns on, it's just, oh man.
Hey, I see something. You got your little cap gun.
You just want to watch Wildcrats?
I don't think those are Himalaya mountains. I think that's more of like Paoli Peaks down there. But I don't get the Oladipo thing at all. I'm just, the injury, I just decimated his career. Whereas with Tyrese Halliburton,
reporting this? I'm not seeing this.
Did you get Kevin? Are you sure?
It said Jake Fisher, growing momentum toward an Oladipo Pacers reunion. The Pacers are monitoring the Did you see he had some workout in Vegas, Victor, in front of all these teams?
Ugh, goodness gracious. I'm just like, did we get catfished here? Did we get
I don't think this is a Hunter Dickinson's coming back for 8th year that Jeff fell for on April Fool's Day.
That was hilarious.
By the way, Hunter Dickinson on the Pelicans Summer League team. The Pacers will see them coming up on Friday night.
Yeah, that is a reunion that would make zero sense to me. You're in a transition year. Why are you bringing in Oladipo to do what exactly?
Well, and I think something too, it's, we did have the discussion. I remember Jeremiah Johnson joined us early in the offseason. We had the discussion. I thought JJ brought up a good point. You have lost Halliburton for the season. So in most instances, that team would say, hey, we need to go out and find a guard. Right? I mean, you're losing 20 points and 10 assists. The thought is you would go out and try to find a guard, but like I look at it internally and think, no, I want Nembhard at 25 years old to be the point guard and get those minutes. I want Mathurin to be in the starting lineup and try to take on more of a scoring burden. Hell, I think Nesmith and Even some of your bench guys, I don't know it's the exact positions, but, Jarris Walker and Ben Shepherd. I mean, some of these younger guards, Cam Jones, Johnny Furphy, them to get those minutes. I don't need – so let's play this out. Halliburton returns next year. You think 34-year-old Victor Oladipo is going to be a part of your rotation?
I would hope not.
No chance.
I just think it stunts and stymies minutes for your young guys.
Aren't they at like roster capacity too? So you have to get rid of somebody to add him. So who are you getting rid of?
Nobody of importance, which I would think that all of them are more important than him.
Right.
To be honest. No, there's no way. You've been catfished. You've been bamboozled. I have Googled this. I have looked at Twitter. I am not seeing this. What is this a screenshot? Where I need to see your laptop.
I'll find the tweet during the break.
Oh, you know what that means. It's been deleted by one of the reporters or something.
Kevin's activating his Jake Fisher burner account.
Yeah, I was going to say, did he pump fake and delete it? Because I'm not seeing this. I see that he's eyeing an NBA return, but you can return elsewhere. Also, I mean, does the relationship matter? Because didn't he end on like very horrible terms with the franchise?
Well, Kevin Pritchard's still around, so you would think that it would matter. I think Victor just kind of turned diva.
Yeah, so
and I don't know. Maybe at 34, maybe he's been humbled by it. Maybe but
whatever.
I mean, the guy hasn't played basketball in 2 years.
Yeah, but I say that because in my mind, I'm thinking this isn't one. Whenever they bring back Lance Stevenson for a couple of months, but he's like loved here. Victor Oladipo is not loved here at all. I mean, there's still people who can't stand him. You have me talking about Victor Oladipo at 7:51 in the morning. This should be a fireable offense, KB. My goodness, you got my blood boiling because I'm thinking about how silly it would be. You're trying to hurt me. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, I got the tweet somewhere here. I'm trying to find it.
Boy, I'm looking everywhere. I'm on the dark web. I think
man,
right now.
This man done got catfished.
I'm on the dark web. And I'm finding
bamboozled,
yeah,
hoodwinked, led astray.
Pacers are monitoring the backcourt market, favoring a veteran guard per Jake Fisher. Former Pacer Victor Oladipo has impressed teams in offseason workouts. Indiana is reportedly among them. There's growing momentum toward an Oladipo Pacers reunion per league source.
Retweet that out.
There you go.
Please retweet that. I need to see this.
It's out there.
I don't want that to happen.
No, I think I've made it abundantly clear. I think I would be absolutely ludicrous on that. But yes, to go back to the Pierce thing, yeah, the Colts were offered a second-round pick for Alec Pierce, and they said no.
And that was this offseason?
Correct.
Well, I think part of
was that ahead of this draft?
Yeah, that might be part of the wrinkle there, Mark.
I was say, was that ahead of this year's draft, or was that after?
Luke with the screenshot here. The Pacers are the favorites to sign Victor Oladipo per Bovada at plus 275. Boys, I hope I'm being catfished. Let me be very clear here.
Yeah, David Skaggs in our YouTube chat says, this was reported by some Pacers fan account, and they attached Jake's name to it, but I don't think he actually reported it.
Well, Bovada's got official odds out here.
My boy Kevin been catfished.
Are you seeing the tweet? The Pacers, plus 275.
Well, yes, I see that. That's a real tweet. The other one, I'm not seeing. I've searched the dark web.
Trust me. I hope I'm being catfished. Upcoming guest on today's show. Coming up next, we'll chat a little Colts training camp. Steve Campbell from the Colts. 9 o'clock, the high school coach of Braden Smith. That would be Purdue Braden Smith, to clarify the search history of James Boyd there. Shane Sumpter has done a great job at Westfield. Shout out to Will Harvey, the boys golf state champion. Great shooter as well. But Braden Smith, obviously, an incredible career he has had at Purdue, and could be in store for quite the cherry on top here in his final season. So we'll get a little bit on the background and that recruitment as we look back here in the summer. And then Kelsey Casper coming up 9:30, Fever sideline reporter, the latest on the Fever. We should give a Fever update from last night on the floor about what you expected. Keys to the Game brought to you by the Hubler Automotive Group. Check out your next car at drivehubler.com. Indiana's giant automotive group. James Boyd, your thoughts on the on-floor product last night for the Fever?
It was tough. It was certainly a rough game, but if you're looking for sort of a silver lining or something to kind of hang your hat on, I thought Ari McDonald did fairly well, in Caitlin Clark's absence, she started in place of her, had 10 points, 5 assists. But again, facing one of the best teams in the league without one of your best players, and it kind of just got smoked. I will say, I'll add this too. Michaela Timpson, the rookie out of Florida State, continues to show a little something, which I'm intrigued by.
Yeah, she definitely has a moment or two that I'm kind of like, all right, it'll be interesting to see if she gets consistent run. But again, Caitlin Clark, her status very much up in the air for this weekend. More on Colts training camp on the other side. This is the Fan Morning Show right here on 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. 5 days away from indeed the men, I guess, of the Indianapolis Colts being back up at Grand Park. What is year, I'm going to guess 7 maybe, at Grand Park. An absolute outstanding facility. Actually, the NFL sent out a report yesterday. The Colts are one of just 6 teams in the entire league that go off-site for their training camp. I've said this quite often. If you haven't been to Grand Park for Colts training camp, the experience is outstanding. I think you only pay for parking, I'm pretty sure, and you are super close. I mean, this isn't even like a high school or a college stadium where, maybe there's a track around the field or something like that. It's a great viewing experience, and Grand Park is a beautiful complex. Talk more about that. The pride of North Central, the man that Jake Query tried to cheat off of back in the day at North Central. That's how I'll introduce our next guest. He is Steve Campbell, the Vice President of Communications and External Affairs, and he is a little giant as well. Steve, good morning to you, sir.
Hey, fellas. Good to be with you this morning.
Did Jake Query try to cheat off you back at North Central?
So Jake didn't really have that opportunity. I was a couple years ahead of him, so we never had classes together. But believe me, I saw him bopping around the halls of North Central all the time.
You imagine how late he would be, probably to class, just roaming
I'm
in the
just imagining Steve
roaming
thinking
in the passing periods.
Yeah, I feel like Steve would just look at him and be like, "Well, I hope that kid graduates someday."
Oh no, Jake's coming down the hallway, duck into those classrooms.
He made it out all right.
Steve, let's get set for next week. Obviously, a ton of morning action next week, Wednesday through Friday. Up there. It seems like early on in camp in July, it's mostly morning practices, but I would say just with a glance at the schedule, I'd say a little bit more like weekend afternoon action than normal, and then like a true night practice. That's what kind of jumps out to me from a schedule standpoint this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. The first practice obviously is next Wednesday, the 23rd at 10 a.m. And the most of the practices are morning practices, but we're really excited about a couple of opportunities we've got. We've got a true night practice. That's the first time we've done it up at Grand Park. That'll be from 8 to 10 p.m. on Thursday, July 31st. So that's going to be kind of cool just to see training camp under the lights and, give people a little bit different experience. We've got, several weekend practices. We've got, and then, the final practice of training camp is a evening or an afternoon practice, 3 to 5 on August 14th, and that's when we host the Green Bay Packers for a joint practice. So yeah, as always, there's a nice mix of practices for people who want to go in the morning, people who want to take the weekend and come up or enjoy that night practice that we've got coming.
So, Steve, Kevin alluded to it just there with 6 teams around the league still having the sort of off-campus or out of the arena sort of training camp. And why do you think that is a valuable sort of investment or a valuable thing that the Colts do every year to have fans have that experience, whereas it isn't as closed off as other franchises?
Yeah, that's really important to us, especially in a place like Indianapolis and of our market size. It's important for us to pretty much take every opportunity we can to reach out to our fans and to be around our fans. So, like you said, only about 6 teams do it. We consider training camp kind of our 18th game day. Every game day that we have is important, but we consider this one, again, one of our tentpole issues of the year or tentpole events of the year. And it's just a great chance for fans to come out and engage in a way that you wouldn't have opportunity to. We had training camp at the complex on West 56th Street during COVID, and obviously fans weren't going to be allowed in there at that time. But the last time training camp was held at the facility, it just wasn't conducive for fans, and that's really important to Chris Ballard, to Shane Steichen, to the Ursays, is to give our fans that access.
Again, Steve Campbell is with us here. He's communications czar over there, VP of Communications External Affairs for the Colts. I did want to shift gears a little bit, Steve. I didn't watch all of it last night. I was actually tuned into mostly the Fever game, but the ESPYs were on, and I know you guys won the Sports Humanitarian Team of the Year, which is an awesome honor, and kicking the stigma, a huge, cornerstone in that. I thought I saw a picture of Pat McAfee and Kalen Jackson, but was that was it in the broadcast as well, or I don't know, anything more you could share on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Colts were very honored to win the ESPY for Sports Humanitarian Year Team of the Year, and that goes to a team really anywhere in the country that's doing good things in the community. And those awards were actually given the night before. So you wouldn't have seen Kaylin and Pat in the SB broadcast last night, but on Tuesday night, that's when the Sports Humanitarian Awards were given out. And yeah, it's a tribute to the Irsay family for kicking off this effort to talk about mental health. We were the first team in really North American sports to really make this an issue. And ESPN, thankfully they recognized the good work that was being done, and we're really happy about this award, not for us in our organization, but just for the continued attention that it's going to bring to mental health. We'll have a game this season, like we have in the last couple of years, to get dedicated to kicking the stigma in mental health and sharing all that kind of information and resources with our fans.
And that first game, right, is when Jim Irsay will go into the Ring of Honor. Is that correct?
That's right. On our home opener, we're gonna use the home opener in many ways to honor Mr. Irsay. That seems like a perfect time. That was one of his favorite times of the year. So we're going to use that week leading up into the home opener, and certainly inducting him into the Ring of Honor during that game.
Steve, along those lines of Jim Irsay, we know the team has been passed down now to his daughters after his death, and they seem to be very prepared for this moment. I'm assuming you've worked with them for years, and for Carly Irsay-Gordon in particular, who will be the principal owner of the team, in the NFL, for those listening, they force each team to have one. It isn't like she's going to be above her sister or anything like that, but she has a different title. How prepared do you think she is for this moment? And, just, I guess, the daughter as a trio as well.
I've been with the team. This will be season number 9 for me, and I've had a chance to work with all three of the Irsay sisters quite a bit, and I've been just really so impressed with their focus, with the strategies that they want to put in place, and the discussions that we have around the table. Very thoughtful, very direct. As a lot of people know, all three of the Irsay sisters grew up in the organization and interned throughout various departments. All three of them throughout, they're growing up. They're right now, even some of their Irsay grandchildren are doing kind of the same thing now, where they're taking part in different parts of the Colts operation. But they grew up doing this, and the good thing that Jim Irsay did is he put a very good plan in place. First of all, he trained them incredibly well to take on this role, and then he put a lot of things in place that would make the transition as smooth as possible. So, in my time working here, I've worked with them, quite a bit. Carly, Kaylin, Casey, they're in the building pretty much every day, and the transition has been really smooth so far.
Report day coming up Tuesday. Again, morning practices Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week, late afternoon coming up on Saturday. And it is a great experience, and honestly not a given by any means around the NFL and what the Colts do offer from a training camp standpoint. So hopefully see you guys out at Grand Park. We'll be out there for all the morning practices, doing our show live from there. And Steve Campbell, Vice President of Communications and External Affairs of the Colts, joining us on this Thursday morning. Steve, Wabash always fights. We'll see you Tuesday.
Awesome, man. It's good to see you. Good to be on with you guys. And if anyone's looking for information, just check it out on colts.com/camp. That's got all our ticket information, got all the schedule information, parking information. That's kind of your home base for information about training camp.
Colts.com/camp. Steve Campbell right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. James Boyd, the Colts' best position of strength in 2025 is what?
Ooh, best position of strength? It might be. Do I go wide receiver or do I go defensive end? That's kind of where I'm feeling right now.
Ooh, DN did not come to mind to me.
I like the depth.
Okay.
I know some players have to step up, mainly Laiatu, but the depth across the board gives me a little bit of confidence to say, okay, this position group won't fall off a cliff if a player were to get banged up or something. They have a couple of bodies there that have proven themselves to be pretty valuable players.
Yeah, I would. I could hear wide out. I'd still go D tackle. I still think DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart, especially those two, have been so durable throughout their careers. I think they deserve to be atop that list. I could listen to wide out there.
If you expanded just position group, like if it's defensive line, offensive line, secondary.
Oh yeah.
Does that make it any different? Does that change your guys' votes then?
I probably really would lean heavily towards D-line then.
Yeah, I guess I'm not. I get DN by committee, but I just are there dudes that make you lose sleep if you're an opposing offensive coordinator at night?
Not right now, no.
Right. So that's where I just probably go with, Latu's got to prove himself. Those sorts of things.
I was looking at Buck's sack numbers over the last few years, not even a few years, just throughout his career. He puts up numbers like he's a D-end.
Yeah, he's usually hovering right around, 8 or 9 sacks a year?
Yeah, and I'm like, that is very impressive for a guy who not only is a defensive tackle, but gets double-teamed a lot. So the value that he has is really twofold with this team because he's going to wreak havoc on his own, but assuming he draws 2, you need somebody else to pop on the edge. And I think this is the year, like Latu, you got to be able to take really advantage of the one-on-one opportunities and just go out there and dominate.
Percentage of men that shave their armpit hair.
By shave, do you mean shave completely, or do you mean trim it?
No, it's bare. Baby's bottom.
I don't even go bare.
Gosh, look at where Brooks Koepka is right now. That looks awful.
He's on the Home and Garden show.
Literally.
Yeah, looks like a
Pat
search.
Sullivan's
looks like
got
a
the-
search party.
Looks like
for
he's in
a
the
dog or
Everglades
something.
right
Yeah.
now.
Good Lord.
Round 1 of the British Open underway. We'll give you some updates on that. But the reason I asked, I just, I'm wearing a cutoff Butler jersey today, and all of a sudden I put my pen up to my arm, and all of a sudden I hit my armpit hair. I'm like, boy, armpit hair is kind of a funny thing.
That's why you don't do tank tops. You have to be well manicured and
You gotta be all groomed up.
manscaped.
Yeah, you gotta go to hit the,
I've trimmed
hit the
my
wax lady, Kevin. Okay?
I've trimmed my armpit hair. I've never gone full bare.
We
I've
should
never
probably
gone
move on from the
Brazilian cut.
manscape and the trim conversation.
What are you
here.
talking about?
Of the 4 rule changes for Saturday night WNBA All-Star game, which one would you like to see implemented permanently? A 4-point shot, a 20-second shot clock, hockey-like subs, or no free throws into the final 2 minutes of the fourth?
Boy, it's going to be you remember, you guys are probably too young.
Probably 4-point line, honestly.
The Sega Genesis game, Arch Rivals, where it was a basketball game. You could just punch your opponents and there was no fouls.
Yeah.
That's what that would be without free throws.
I'll go 4-point
Yeah, I'm going to
line.
need a little bit more explanation on the no free throws.
Yeah.
I get you want to have more run of play in an all-star
Yeah.
setting, so I understand that. And to be fair, just to kind of paint a picture for you, these 4-point circles. So it'll be 2 on each end of the court here. So it's not just strictly a volleyball line. 20-second shot clock. What is the shot clock in the WNBA? Is it 24?
That's a good question. What is the shot clock? I feel like it never really matters with the Fever because they play so fast.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like I don't see it ticking down too low. 20 is super fast, though. I mean, if you've got to reset one time, all of a sudden you'll scramble.
24.
It is 24?
Yes, sir.
I think of all those options, I would go 4-point shot.
Yeah.
Because not too many players are going to be taking those shots anyway. But when they do hit them, you'd like them to count more than 3.
Could an injured Caitlin Clark take part in the 3-point contest, but not the game?
Yes.
Yes. Should she? Probably not. Still got to move. And this is why I say this. Can she do it and not be competitive? No. There's going to be a part of you that kicks in.
I would say hell no.
I want to do what? I want to do well. I don't want to go out there and just get some charity shots up. So that's why I need a parent to come in and be like, all right, listen here, Caitlin. This is what we got to do. Because she ain't going to listen to anybody else. I don't think, because she's such a competitor. And I do think, again, she feels that burden that I have to perform because all these people paid to come see me, which is just her reality.
Mark, go ahead and play that Stephanie White from last night. The answer wasn't very long, but this was Stephanie White on the all-star status of Caitlin Clark.
No discussion yet about this weekend. There was imaging done, and, obviously ruling her out for tonight, but there hasn't been any discussion beyond tonight.
She added, James, that the discussion would be more with Caitlin and her team. I assume team is agent, family, whoever else, handlers. Sounds like, Caitlin Clark's not someone that can make these decisions for herself, but you know what I'm getting at here. Basically, the Fever will not be involved in this decision. I think if the Fever were involved with the decision, there's no chance in the world Caitlin Clark will be on the floor Friday or Saturday night.
No chance. No chance. There's just no I want to say there's no upside because I don't want to act like the fans don't deserve something, but the risk to me is not worth the reward. The reward is that you just get through the competitions with no injury, but it's not like Caitlin Clark's going to have a chance to win it, MVP or something like that, or actually really play. But again, the risk is so great because if she gets out there for a 3-point contest on Friday night and she comes up hobbling or limping, then what? Then the conversation becomes, well, you didn't protect yourself. The Fever didn't protect you. Your agency didn't protect you. So to avoid that possibility and that narrative, knowing that you've kind of been playing through some stuff all year, I think you got to sit down for a while, man.
Lord Smoke here in the YouTube chat says, I shaved the armpits once. That bleep itch so bad. Never again. I guess I never even thought about that aspect to it.
I wonder if it gets like itchy. Like,
are you ticklish under your armpit?
Let's find out. Tickle contest
well,
right now.
I did try to do that, and I don't know. When you tickle yourself, I feel like it's a little different than someone else tickling you. But
that's true for a lot of things.
No comment.
It's never the same.
You'll
Often duplicated, never replicated.
You'll hear Mark from 3 to 6 today. Is that correct?
Hell yeah.
You and Eddie Garrison?
Me and Eddie running the show
already
here.
in rare form right now.
We're driving the ship straight into the iceberg is what we're doing.
You guys got a lineup for today?
Yeah, we've got Chaps going to join us. We've got Matt Weaver. And then Bria Goss going to join Talk a Little Fever as well.
Oh, you talking IU's non-conference schedule?
Oh, yes.
Matt Weaver?
I was telling Eddie, I was like, we should get an IU football person on to discuss.
Give Matt my best. Great
BS non-conference schedule. I will give him your best. I will also say, like...
Can you ask him about the Bison mascot, too? Like, is this going to be a live Bison on the sidelines?
That sounds so dangerous.
It better be.
Every time we go up to, like, my folks' house or, like, my in-laws' house in Northwest Indiana, there is a Bison farm on 41. And it's usually the highlight of Ashley's road trip. She likes looking to see the bison.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's a little bit off of 65, is that right?
Yeah. It's right off 41.
Okay.
And it's a bison farm, and there's legit giant bison just, like, roaming the fields.
Gosh, that's quite the sight for...
I need to be able to...
That's technically Northeast Indiana?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a couple miles south of, what is it? Dyer.
Oh, I remember
Cedar Lake.
I remember Dyer went to the Little League World Series.
I've been through Dyer many times working in the region.
We probably are
Did not know there was a
Little League World Series time.
bison farm there.
Coming up 9 o'clock, Shane Sumpter, the Westfield boys basketball coach, also the high school coach of one Braden Smith. That recruitment, looking back on it, quite defined by the Purdue Boilermakers. Nice summer conversation in what is going to be, I would argue, one of the most highly anticipated seasons we've ever had in the state of Indiana. Purdue basketball this year. I mean, when you think about a Colts season, you think obviously some of those Peyton years. You think about a Pacers season. It's been light years since an IU basketball season, I think, fell into that. I don't know. Maybe you can make a case for 2013 with Tom Crean, but still Purdue has made it to the national championship here in the last couple of years. The fact that the Final Four is at Lucas Oil Stadium, I think, just kind of adds to it. So looking forward to that conversation coming up at 9. Before that, Mark Dykton, let's go ahead and check it down. All right, James, let's go on floor last night in the Barclays Center. It really wasn't much of a game outside of the first handful of minutes. The Liberty all over the Indiana Fever. Brianna Stewart, very good at basketball. Kelsey Mitchell did pass Tamika Catchings for most threes in franchise history. Kelsey is 11th all-time in the WNBA. That's 607 three-pointers, but the Fever get handled by a Liberty team that I think is better than their record indicates.
Yes, and so the Fever dropped to 12-11, and they enter the WNBA All-Star break as the 6th seed currently in the standings.
Yeah, and just to take a little step further on the standings, like you said, they are 6th. 8 teams make the playoffs.
Yep.
There's no East-West. It's just 8 teams make the playoffs. They are 4 back of 2nd. They're 1.5 out of missing the playoffs.
Right.
So,
Hairy.
Yeah, and we're pretty much at the midway point. The All-Star game does fall kind of right in the middle of that schedule. So next Tuesday will be their return to action against the Liberty. Again, Mark, let's go ahead and play that long-term. Stephanie White on Caitlin Clark and the approach that the franchise is trying to take with the right groin injury suffered on Tuesday night.
I think that we've approached it that way from a slow pace from the beginning. I'm not this might just be my ignorance, but I'm not really sure that it's a re-injury as much as a different kind of injury. I know oftentimes when you're working with injuries in the groin and the quad and the hamstring and all of those things, there's just they're all kind of tied together, and it's not always just one thing. So I think yes, absolutely, the big picture is the most important. For her health and wellness long term, and for our team, and to we've been very slow in making sure that every time she comes back that she's ready. So we'll continue to approach it like that. I mean, long term is the most important.
Again, Fever, if they're not participating in the All-Star game, like I said, Tuesday coming up against the Liberty. All right, out in Vegas, the Pacers got 2 more left. Today, 4:30 against the Knicks. That is actually on ESPN2. Tomorrow, 9 o'clock against the Pelicans. That is on ESPN. So either watch or throw up a little DVR action for the Pacers. I haven't seen anything, James. Have you seen any guys ruled out yet? Johnny Furphy, Cam Jones, Taylon Peter would be the guys I care about.
No, I haven't seen anything like that. And typically, just from working my own summer league a few years ago and knowing how it operates, usually you don't find out until like right before the game anyway, is when some spokesperson or the team says something and they're like, oh, so-and-so is going to have a rest day or whatever.
Our leaders at the 153rd British Open. I call it the British Open. I know I should call it the Open Championship. I'd probably be banned from playing over there. Hao Tung Lee from China and Jakob Skov Olsen from Denmark.
I will say I am jealous of our golf riders at the Athletic because we have a few of them over there, and they just get to see beautiful countries.
Can you read that guy who's in 4th place's name?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping James would do that. K. Wakanjana?
Actually, I don't think that's a bad attempt there, Kevin.
Boy, look at that rain coming down. That looks just brutal, doesn't it? You definitely have a lot of names under par that you would recognize. Matthew Fitzpatrick, U.S. Open champion, and second right now at 3 under. But I saw Scotty Scheffler was, I think, 1, maybe 2 under. John Rahm was up there a little bit. Shane Lowry, who won here a few years ago, is at 1 under. So early over there at Royal Portrush. Other items of note this weekend, north of the border for IndyCar. You can hear that on our airwaves coming up Sunday afternoon. Colton Herta, the defending champ. So it is a very busy month of July for IndyCar. We'll see if Penske can, honestly, they've had a horrific year. We'll see if they can get out of that anytime soon. And over at Hinkle coming up, it's little TBT action. So throwing it back, Butler's got an alumni team. Indiana's got an alumni team. This is the winner-take-all $1 million tournament. So Hinkle will host some games here coming up this weekend. All right, on the other side, much more on where the Colts are as we inch closer to training camp. What's the best-case scenario for the Pacers this season? We'll hit on that upcoming. This is the Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton. It's been us three all week long. It'll be us three coming up next week. I guess, Mark, you'll be a little bit more remote, though. James and I will be up at Westfield Tuesday through Friday. Report day is Tuesday. I would expect us to get a Colts player or two on that day. So report day, usually we have a lot of activity with us. And then, Mark, you will be in studio, but it's you and Eddie Garrison, right? 3 to 6 today, filling in for John?
Yep. Takes 2 men to fill John's shoes, so Eddie and I will do the best that we can to do that, but should be fun.
So why is John not available?
I don't know. Yeah, he's giving you crap for not playing hoops. And now
I did show up for work. You know, I missed hooping to go work, and this guy might be going to play basketball.
Yeah, he loves to call you out for that, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I enjoy it. I knew it. I was thinking to myself, oh, this will be a talking point for sure. But I kind of deserve that too, because the last time we played, and I had like literally one good game, and I mentioned that one good game and not the other ones. So karma comes back around.
NFL coach most likely to get fired first. Shane Steichen, third on that list. Does that surprise you at all? He's that high?
No.
Mm-mm.
I think it would surprise me if I wasn't in this market and I didn't understand just how unique the situation is. Like, I don't think Shane Steichen's been a bad coach, but considering the quarterback hasn't been that great that they brought in and he was a big part of changing ownership from the father to the daughters, Carly Ursay-Gordon coming out immediately and saying, you know, Ballard and Steichen know they haven't been good enough. All those things lead me to believe that nobody, and I do believe nobody, should feel safe going into this season or next season for that matter. Beyond, you know, some of the star players like Quentin Nelson, DeForest Buckner, even like we talked about earlier this week, Bernard Ryman. But as far as leadership goes, quarterback, GM coach, nobody should feel safe.
Who's above him? Brian Daboll's got to be one.
Brian Daboll is easily the favorite.
Yeah.
And then actually it's the week 2 matchup of coaches 2 and 3. That would be the one and only Mike McDaniel with Shane Steichen right there.
That one kind of surprises me.
Wait, you said week 2 matchup or is that week 1?
Yes, sorry, week 1, yeah. Week 2 is Denver Colts.
Yeah, I was thinking, man, Sean
Sorry.
Payton? I'm like, what the heck? Okay, but yes, okay, yeah,
Yes.
I would
The opener.
I would agree with that too, because what have the Dolphins done that warrants him to still be safe?
Yeah, I feel like we had
you're
some
in
whispers about that last year even.
You're in South Beach. Kind of got your feet. You got your sandals on.
Ain't a
You're
bad
enjoying
life.
the yachts.
Not a bad life.
Kind of take it easy out there. Like the Panthers coach, who's that? Canellis, is he still there? I wouldn't trust.
Yes.
Is it only year 2 for him?
Considering your owner, I wouldn't trust him to be long for the job either. Just the way they fired coaches.
If we did the seat warmer analogy, you got 3 levels to the seat warmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
What level's Steichen on? What level's Ballard on?
Ooh.
Is this from a fan perspective or an ownership perspective?
Well, the ownership perspective is, I guess, a hair unknown.
Yeah.
But James, if I could push you down to, which again, full transparency, I know it's difficult to gauge. We really have no idea how Carly Ursay-Gordon is going to own. How do you think the Ballard resume is viewed, seat warmer analogy style, versus the Steichen resume?
So I definitely think if we're doing like a number here or something like that, I would put, Ballard at least above a lukewarm status. I think it's pretty toasty, a little toasty.
So we're going full 3 levels. We're going like 10-degree morning for Chris Ballard. Are we going full 3 level?
I don't know if I'll go that high.
For Shane Steichen?
It's so hard to gauge. I'll probably walk that back a little bit. I'm not so sure just because I don't know the daughter's thinking. But I will say the question I have there about the warmth is, and I feel confident saying this, maybe it isn't as warm as it was when Jim Irsay was the team owner, because he had an affinity for Ballard like no other. And I'm not sure anybody would necessarily love Ballard as much as.
So you think it's hotter? The seat is now hotter, is what you're saying?
Yeah, like I don't know how, like if it's scorching hot, but I think it's a little warmer than it probably was, considering that there's been a change in ownership. And still you're going into the overall context is you're going into your 9th season, and you still don't have an answer at quarterback, and the team has missed the playoffs for 4 straight years. So there's all that stuff to keep in mind as well.
We mentioned this a little bit earlier in the show, but I am curious if you want to do the seat warmer analogy, should they both be on the same level? Like, again, are they tied at the hip or not? And it's just odd that we talk about them and they were hired in two very different eras. Shane Steichen was literally hired 2023. I would assume at that point, Carly Ursay-Gordon was probably a little bit more involved on the football side. Wasn't that kind of the general time where we started seeing her more at practice and more even on the sidelines? Whereas in 2017, when Chris Ballard was hired, I don't think she was maybe as heavily involved in the football side of it. Would that impact things at all? Like, does she almost view, well, Ballard's kind of my dad's hire versus I was a little bit more involved with Steichen?
And that's kind of what I was getting at. Like, is that part of the warmth we're talking about? Like, I have no idea how hot or cold anybody's seat is without really, understanding the ownership and their thinking. And in fairness to Jim Irsay, he will let us know often how he was thinking. I mean, no owner, I would argue, was as outspoken about his team and the status of his team and additions and subtractions, whatever the case may be, than him. Whereas with his daughters, I would imagine, just thinking about the context of him transitioning, and them taking over, he would tweet out the practice squad signings. There's no way that we would be this close to training camp and we hadn't heard something from him, some promotion, some giving away money. I have tickets to this. Whereas with the daughters now, the last time we heard from them was the last time they sat in that room over at West 56th Street and talked to us about the state of the team. So I wouldn't expect a lot of, different changes when it comes to just how they operate as far as their front-facing nature. Because, he was the most front-facing owner, I would argue, in the league outside of, like, Jerry Jones.
Yeah, Chase chimes in with this. You have to think Carly Ursay will want everyone in the NFL to know she's a capable owner, and I think she will be. If the Colts don't show some fortitude and push for a playoff spot, I wouldn't be surprised if she cleans house.
That's why I've kind of viewed this season as a whole for the Colts as a transition season. Obviously, the death of Jim Irsay changes a lot of things.
Yes.
But at this point, the ownership, the daughters, they're taking over, but everything was already kind of in place heading into the season. They didn't get a say in the head coaching staff. They didn't get a say in the front office. They didn't get a say in the draft picks. They have no ties to the quarterbacks after the season. So from top on down, 2025 versus 2026 can be very different because they could say, okay, we took this head on, draft had already happened, season's already well underway, mini camps are starting. We'll go through this season. But after this, we can start putting our stamp of approval on this franchise going forward in 2026 and beyond.
So would either of you be okay with keeping one of the trio and maybe not the rest of the trio, meaning the quarterback, coach, and head coach?
I don't generally love that in the NFL.
And I feel like, especially
I would agree. I was just curious to see where you're at.
When it comes to GMs, don't they usually say, like, you get 2 head coaching hires, and at that point, if you're on your third, very few head coaches very few GMs get to get a third head coach.
Yeah.
It just gets messy when you have the GM that's not with the head coach. I get there are some instances where maybe it's worked, but I think there are more where it turns into he said, she said behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so
you want that unison from the start.
Which, again, if you want to show me the Ballard resume versus the Steichen resume, obviously the Ballard resume is much more damning in my eyes than the Steichen resume. But, to Chase's point there, I don't view this at all that Carly Ursay-Gordon will look at this season and say, yeah, let me just dip my toes in the water. Let me just kind of ease into this. I
didn't get that vibe at all.
Feels a change is necessary, I would think it would happen. And there is part of me that does have this thought, and I don't necessarily think the season will go this way, but if it starts to derail, if you start to look like a team that's heading towards a top 10 draft pick, would you make the move or moves, plural, in season at all to get a head start on really leading your first ever search as GM hire or as a head coach hire? Is that something that could be at play? Because that's very new for her.
Yeah, I think
even when they did the head coaching search a few years ago, I would argue Chris Ballard spearheaded a lot of that, more so than ownership. And of course, if you're hiring a GM, that's where the ownership has got to spearhead it. So again, it's not necessarily something we need to discuss in great detail on July 17th, but if the season does start to get off to a rocky start, maybe.
Yeah, I was preparing some questions yesterday for Chris Ballard and just getting ready for his annual training camp press conference. And these are some of the things that I want to dive into. Now, obviously, he can't answer, whether I should be here or not. If anybody is ever going to ask me, should I keep my job? Yes, I'm going to say yes. But there are some big picture items there just overall. Like, what do you need to see from a GM standpoint to give you a sense of success? Is that making the playoffs? But if they go 9-8 and get blown out in the playoffs, is that enough? Is it just, hey, if we see Anthony Richardson succeed, is that enough for you? Like, there's a couple of different ways to view, I think, what success would be. So I want to hear what Chris Ballard, which I know it's a dangerous word, it's kind of a gotcha question. What do you determine a success? Because I don't care what lens we look through over the last few years, there hasn't been much of it from a personnel standpoint, at quarterback, or from an overall team standpoint. Because, I think you would maybe earn some grace there if you had made the playoffs and the quarterback situation had been figured out. But without the quarterback and without the playoffs, it's like, well, what are you playing for?
Well, that is kind of one thing I want to talk with Eddie later on JMV show, though. I'll bring up to you guys. Like, your projections for, like, what this team is actually going to do win total-wise and what that means for the long-term health of the team. Because if you're saying they're going to win, like, 5 or 6 games, you're pushing the detonate button, right? Like, or if you're
1,000%,
absolutely,
1,000%.
So if your projections aren't very high and you have them missing the playoffs and not winning the AFC South once again, where does that put? Like, you've got 8 or 9 wins. Is 8 wins good enough to keep this?
That's what I'm saying.
Train going forward? How off the rails does it have to get?
I would vote no, but again, that's come from someone that doesn't think Chris Ballard should have gotten a 8th and now a 9th year at it. On the other side, Pacers, best case scenario. We'll chat about that coming up next.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, coming up in 10, we'll chat with Shane Sumpter, the head coach of the Westfield boys basketball team, the former head coach of one Braden Smith.
At the Shamrocks?
The Shamrocks,
Yeah.
Indeed, yes. The Fighting Kristen Aries from back in the day. And get more into that Braden Smith recruitment as, summertime we look back on kind of some of these local stories. And, boy, when the calendar starts to turn to basketball season, that Purdue squad would be highly, highly anticipated. And Braden Smith, one of the more decorated careers we've ever seen in the state, period, from a collegiate standpoint, especially for the black and gold. James Boyd, Mark Dykton, myself, Kevin Bowen here on The Fan. Best case scenario for this Pacers season is what?
Benedict Mathurin or Jarris Walker or both take a leap, and one of them becomes a star, at least a budding star. And it's more validated than a couple of games here or there. It's every night where by the end of the season, you're like, you know what? Yeah, we lost Miles Turner in free agency, but when Tyrese gets back, we have not only Pascal to assist with some of the heavy lifting, we have this other guy who's in his early 20s who's another dude who can change games. So I think that ideally will be what you want. And really, to me, that's their most realistic, even though it's still a big, what if, most realistic path back to contending is if they hit on one of their, lottery picks and they become a dude.
Yeah, I'm nodding my head pretty aggressively at that. I am in lockstep with you there. Sure, you would maybe like a center to emerge.
Yeah,
or,
but
no, never mind. Yeah,
I think you want to make sure like Siakam isn't aging.
Yeah.
That would probably be another item. But yes, I think if you had to put one atop the list, I would agree with you. One of your lottery picks, and I know this isn't sexy and it's not going to involve a whole lot of wins, but you've talked about it, James. The current window is closed. The hope is that you have created, or you will create, I should say, a window with Tyrese Halliburton from like age 27 to what, 30, 32?
Yep.
Like that's the thought. So if that is the thought, it's not the end of the world if this season ends and sure, individually, some of those young guys might take a jump, but what if you acquire a high draft pick? What if you get the Jalen Williams to the Thunder? What if you get the Michael Porter Jr. to the Nuggets winning it all? Even a Jordan Poole to the Warriors championship team. Because think about it. In age 27 to 32, Tyrese Halliburton, it's not going to look the same that it does right now.
No.
Obviously, Turner is the first casualty of that.
Yeah.
But, age 30 Halliburton means Siakam's how old? 30, like 6? 30, like Siakam's not going to be around or certainly at that level. So that is in the back of my mind. Again, that doesn't involve going to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I know that is not what really a lot of people want to hear after they tasted all of that winning.
Yeah.
But it's not the end of the world if you get to the end of this season. And yes, you want some individual guys. You mentioned the two that I couldn't agree with more to take jumps. But if all of a sudden you have a draft pick that is in a nice range and you hit on that pick and he becomes an important sidekick to you for the new Halliburton window, that's huge.
Absolutely.
For creating a championship team again.
I was thinking earlier about when you talking about Victor Oladipo. I was thinking the only Victor I wanted in Indianapolis was Wembanyama a few years ago.
I'd rather have Victor Hovland than Victor Oladipo.
Are we still sure that was real? Or did we determine he got got?
We got that debunked.
But
during the
part of
break.
me thought maybe catfish, but then Vegas is showing these odds, and Vegas usually doesn't lie.
Well, I am betting against Vegas on this one.
There's also not too many casinos that are going
Is there
bankrupt,
anybody that wants Victor Oladipo?
No,
Somebody tweeted at me like, bring him here and put a team option on the second year. I'm like, guys, he hasn't played basketball in 2 years.
I'd also say that some of the sports books have you like betting on summer league games and everything. So they'll take any money and all of your money.
Check
if
this
you want
out.
to bet on Victor Oladipo's next destination, you can do it.
My most important statement in the history of this show. If you are betting on Victor Oladipo joining the Pacers for this upcoming season, call that number. Call that number. Call the hotline because something's awry. But getting back to your point, Kevin, I don't necessarily hate that idea, but I also wonder too, like.
And let me be clear, I'm not saying outright tank.
No. I mean, they never would. I mean, I feel like the Pacers just simply don't do that. I mean,
they did some form of tanking a couple years ago, but
yeah, but I mean, put it like this: they did it one time in 30 years.
Right.
It's not going to become a thing where we're going to look up and be like, oh my gosh, they're going through the Philadelphia 76ers process, and every year you're just trying to lose until you get a top 3 pick. But if you were to, have that happen, or you ended up with a top 10 pick or something like that, yeah, ideally you would like to hit on that pick and get somebody. But I think they're just going to be too good, really. Too good, too feisty. Assuming you don't have any major injuries to key guys, I think they're going to be, going back to, and I hated it at the time, but I kind of embrace it this upcoming season. They'll be a tough out, I think, because there are guys who still could take another leap in their game. I think Andrew Nembhard is one of them. So we will see how it all kind of shakes out.
One thing, too, is I'll probably say this a lot once the Pacers season gets here. I think it is lost on some people how much Halliburton table sets for everybody.
That's why
Andrew Nembhard playing point guard 82 nights out of the year.
Yeah.
You're asking a lot.
I know.
Benedict Mathurin being the lead scorer.
I know.
In the starting lineup, you're asking a lot. Aaron Nesmith, are you going to get the amount of corner threes that you've gotten? Even Siakam a little bit.
Yeah. Everyone wants an expanded role, but what comes with that, to your point, Kevin, is expanded attention.
He just puts you in so many advantageous spots. And
I agree.
Now that's not going to be as prevalent. So how do players react to that? It's intriguing to me. It's curious to me, but how it all unfolds. Shane Sumpter, described by one local high school basketball coach, a great local high school basketball coach, as a good coach and person. Okay, well, I'll take that. Looking forward to that conversation. Coach Braden Smith, we'll get into that a little bit with him coming up on the other side. This is the Fan Morning Show on a Thursday.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Kevin Bowe and James Boyd, Mark Dykton, 9 o'clock hour here on The Fan. James, it was a few months ago that I reached out to our next guest. And, when we get into the summertime here, usually we have kind of like a month and a half where we're not reacting to a whole lot of games. And I kind of view that time as, all right, let's get a little bit deeper into some of these sports stories that we talk about over the course of 12 months. And we've talked about this player a whole lot, and we're definitely going to talk about him a ton here once the ball gets tipped coming up this fall and winter up there in West Lafayette. But I think the Braden Smith story is one of the great ones. And to me, he is already one of the best college basketball players Purdue's ever had. And if this season goes the way many think it will go, he will definitely go down as one of the great ones. And yet, this is not some, 5-star recruit that is, whatever, skipping his senior year to go to some prep school. It's a great, great story. So to talk more about that, I thought we would head to Hamilton County and the head coach of the Westfield Shamrocks, the longtime coach up there of the Shamrocks, both the girls and the boys program. He is Shane Sumpter, and he joins us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Coach, happy summer to you. Good morning to you. Thank you for the time.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
You bet. As an avid golfer, I honestly would love to talk about Will Harvey for the next 15 minutes. Is that allowed, or are we getting too niche there?
Well, we could certainly do that. I was certainly proud to see him do what he's done over his career, and he'll be heading to Purdue. But headed over and watched him win the state championship a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, we could definitely do a segment on that as well. But awesome kid, awesome family, and certainly very proud of Will Harvey.
Yeah, shooter for the basketball team, and yes, the golf individual state champion this year off to Purdue. Let's talk about Braden. And again, we're going back a little bit. I know, honestly, COVID is probably when some of this took place, but I guess I'll just leave it rather open-ended to start. What do you remember in general about, watching Braden, first time you kind of saw him, probably maybe even pre-high school? What do you remember about those early days of seeing Braden Smith, the basketball player?
Well, over the last few years, I've done a lot of interviews about Braden Smith, but I've known Braden since he's been 5 years old, really close with his family. Kind of a long story here. Not a long story, I'll keep it short, but his mom Jenny was when I was on the girls' side, she was my varsity assistant for several years. So, again, just knowing the family for a long time. But as you could get, as Braden, and then I took over the boys program when Braden, I think, was in 5th or 6th grade, but you could just see he was going to be really good. His work ethic, he was in the gym all the time. But I told one of my current varsity assistants right now, it's been with me for a long time, I go, Braden will be the first Indiana All-Star Westfield's ever had. He kind of looked at me funny at the time, but you could just kind of see Braden getting better and better. You mentioned COVID. It was really during that time where Braden's body really changed. He put on, as he came in as a freshman, he was probably 135, 140 pounds. He looked like a middle school kid out there. But he started every game that he's ever played at Westfield, except for when he broke his foot his senior year. And I'll get into that here in a little bit. But you could just see when he came, he looked like a middle school kid out there. But when the game started, it just didn't matter because he was that good. He averaged 13 or 14 points a game as a freshman. But year in and year out, freshman to sophomore to junior, junior to senior, his body just kept changing. And a lot of that was during COVID. We have a really good strength and conditioning coach, Tavio Henson, and basically Braden was working out in his garage during that time, and just kind of put on because that's one of the things that he needed to do is just get bigger, and I mean stronger. But just a special kid. You could see it when he's in 5th and 6th grade that this kid's different. He's going to be special.
So, Shane, I hear all of that and understand that maybe you saw the specialness a little earlier than most, but what is it like to see it continue to ascend? Because, there's been a lot of great high school basketball players in this state and obviously a rich history here, but to see him continue to take steps forward at the next level to this degree, what has that been like for you when you've kind of seen it from the jump?
Well, it's been special again. I sit back and watch him, and it's just, one thing that you have to understand about Braden is he plays with a chip on his shoulder because his entire life, everybody said that he couldn't do it. People said, well, he's not going to be able to play right away. We play in a pretty good league in high school. I mean, that's as good as it gets. The HCC, Sectional 8, it doesn't get any better than that. And people said, well, he's not going to be able to come in right away and do this. Well, he did. And then everybody says, well, he's not going to be able to be an Indiana All-Star. He's not going to be a Mr. Basketball because he's not big enough. He can't do this. This kid's better. And Braden just continues to always play with a chip on his shoulder. And it doesn't matter if we're in the weight room. Oh, he can't power clean that. Well, he's going to stay there until he did it. And that's the one thing that I just think that he had that attribute early on. And then you talk about Purdue. Well, people said the exact same thing. Well, he's not going to be able to play at Purdue. He's not big enough. There's no way he can play in the Big Ten. Well, he proved all those people wrong. So now we're probably even talking about the next level. Well, is he going to be able to play in the NBA? Well, it's just a chip on his shoulder that Braden Smith has had his entire life because people told him he couldn't do it.
The head coach of the Westfield Shamrocks is Shane Sumpter, who coached, of course, Braden Smith in high school. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. There's been a few times where I watched Purdue over the last few years, and I just simply tweet out, Sectional 8 Braden Smith is alive right now. Like, just the pure takeover mode he can have, and that special run of, like you said, playing through the foot. If I had to pinpoint his best quality as a player, what would you say Braden's best quality is?
His passing. When I talked to Matt Painter early on, I told Matt Painter that he was the best high school passer that I've ever seen. Not that I've coached. I said he's the best passer that I've ever seen. Obviously, you can put Conley in that conversation, and there's been a lot of good players, and this is Indiana, but he's the best that I've ever seen. And I think that's what kind of separates him a little bit. He's a willing passer. He's just a winner, though. So if I had to say his is best, the kid's just a winner, and his work ethic and just all those things. But his ability to pass the ball and see the ball, especially in transition, is just really what sets him apart, I believe.
What do you remember about his recruitment? And I guess mainly I'm asking Purdue's involvement. I know Matt Painter's told the story and has shared kind of the Parkinson's,
Sure.
played a role in that. But what do you remember about your conversations with Matt or just Purdue's involvement in general?
Well, Purdue, again, you've probably heard the story, but Purdue came on late. Braden was really just getting a lot of mid-major looks. If Purdue wouldn't have came along, Braden Smith would have ended up at Belmont. That's where he was going to go to school. And then Purdue kind of comes on late. Again, you heard the story. I know they had a player that decommitted there. And then my very first conversation, I can remember it was on a Monday afternoon. I got a phone call, and I spent about an hour with him on the phone. And he's basically saying, I'm looking at all these kids that are ranked way ahead of Braden, and I'm watching. He goes, I've watched every game that you guys played this year. This was before this was the fall going into his senior year. And he goes, I'm not sure that this kid's not better. And I go, well, I don't know who those kids are, and I know Matt Painter talks about rankings and what they mean and what they don't mean, but I go, this kid's pretty good. And he offered him that night on a Zoom call, and then the rest is kind of history. But yeah, just special. And Trey Buchanan played for me, Chad's son,
Sure.
And Ryan Carr, his son Austin you've probably seen that story a few years ago when I put him in a game and he made a shot. He was our student manager. And at one point I went to Ryan and Chad and go, I need help. This kid, Braden is really good. And I don't think Chad was able to see Braden live until his junior year just because of some NBA rules. And then obviously Trey came along, so he was able to be in our gym and watch him. And finally I went to those guys and said, I need help because this kid is way under recruited. So they were able to help out. And again, still didn't get a ton, got calls. And then after Purdue, obviously, offered him, then the calls started coming in. It's like, well, maybe we're missing something here. But what a perfect fit for Braden to go and play for Matt Painter, and just been exciting. And I've obviously seen a lot of games and seen every tournament game that he's ever played live. So looking forward to this coming year and what Purdue can do as well. You
mentioned Purdue once they started, a few more teams kind of try to jump into the mix there. Did Indiana ever call?
Well, I heard from Indiana early on, and just really they were calling, but I didn't know how serious it was, and I never heard from them personally after. I don't know if they reached out to anybody else, but I did not hear from them. But Gonzaga was one of them, so there's a few others that kind of got on board a little bit, but it was all set then. Braden was going to Purdue. It was a done deal, and what a perfect fit it's been for him.
So, Shane, I do want to pivot to maybe just how Braden's career has had the current impact on your team because he's still coaching there. And as a former high school sports reporter, I did a lot of games up in Northwest Indiana, a lot of region games. And my perspective on kids is that they don't care about anything that happened the day before. They don't care anything about history, what you've done or whatever. So when you have a Braden Smith that you can refer to and say, hey, all right, all this stuff I'm telling you or all the dreams you have, here's this kid that came through these hallways, played on this court, who's done these amazing things. How much does that help maybe just resonate whatever message you're trying to preach to them about hard work, dedication, and the things that Braden Smith did that isn't based off of his talent, but based off of the other things that talent doesn't require, which is, working and showing up early, staying late, things of that nature?
Well, I will say, you mentioned, kids don't care about history, blah, blah, blah. I would say in this case, that's actually not true because Braden has done a tremendous amount for our basketball program. We kind of had to build a program at Westfield. Our school is growing into its size. And, 10 years ago, we had to create some excitement. We had to build a culture. And then, year 3 or 4, Braden Smith comes along, 2, 3, 4, here comes Braden Smith and 8th graders. And just the excitement and the success that we had during the time that he was there. And then the success that we've had after. A lot of that is still I give Braden a lot of credit for that and the players that have come before him, a lot of credit for that because, it's just the excitement that he's built in our school and our community. There's a lot of little kids running around Westfield that wanted to be the next Braden Smith. The very first year, I think he was a freshman or maybe a sophomore, Braden comes back. It was his freshman year because I made the decision his senior year at our banquet, and I just said, hey, nobody's ever, as long as I'm the coach here, Braden Smith, nobody's ever going to wear number 1 again. It's retired. And that's just how I felt about it. But he came back the next year, and we did that, and then he had a signing, and the entire hallway was wrapped all the way around the building for people to try to get Braden Smith's autograph. That just tells you a little bit about that, but just the excitement, and again, a lot of little kids running around and want to be the next Braden Smith, and obviously we've had a lot of success after Braden's left, but again, that just shows you what he's done for our community, and it's just awesome. He's just an awesome kid, and that's probably really what I'm most proud of Braden. Obviously, you see the basketball stuff, but to be revered like he is, he hasn't changed. He's the same kid, and it's just awesome, and I'm super proud of him.
Yeah, Shane, to clarify real quick, I didn't mean it in a way like, oh, they don't care about history. Kids usually, at least in my experience, if you tell them, hey, we won this back in 1982, they're going to look at you like you're crazy, like, well, that was way too long ago. But when it happened a few years ago and you can see the guy playing on TV, every other night, I think it's a little bit different. And so I'm glad that, you and that program have had that experience.
Sure, yeah. Awesome.
Shane, we'll end with this, and we can't thank you enough for the time. Again, Shane Sumpter, head coach at Westfield. Is this year 11 with the boys program? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm going into my 11th year. Just finished my 17th. I was a girls coach for 7, but just completed my 10th year as the boys coach.
Well, if you don't mind, could you kind of put on the high school basketball head coach hat of nearly 2 decades just for a second? And sometimes when we have college coaches on, I like to pose this question. I get the college game is, it feels like driving on a Texas highway with all the lack of rules or lack of guardrails right now. But, if I made you kind of, I don't know, high school basketball czar for the day here in the state of Indiana, is there a rule change, I don't know, on the floor, off the floor? I don't know if I'm asking you shot clock or if I'm asking you something else, but I'll just leave it, pretty open-ended. Is there any rule change you'd like to see within IHSAA basketball?
Well, this is more off the court, but Indiana basketball. I've obviously lived here my entire life. I'm all about the tradition, but I think it's getting time where they take a serious look at seeding the tournament. You look at our sectional; it's a meat grinder. You had number 1 versus number 2 last year when we played Fishers. The year before that, you got 1, 2, and 3 all in the same sectional. You look at Fishers last year; they were 22-0 going into the sectional, and their reward is they had to play us. It was a 1-possession game with less than a minute to go in the game. And I say that it's just they shouldn't have been playing us. They should have been playing somebody else. And again, I'm all for tradition, but I think it's time because I asked the question, what's the regular season mean? what does 22-0 get you? What does, we were 18-4, 18-3 going into the sectional. Last year, 2 years ago, we were 19-2. I think it's time where they really think about trying to make that work. I think there's all kinds of scenarios, but I think the state tournament here in Indiana needs to be seeded.
Would you just seed the sectionals as they are now, or would you open it up a little bit more geographically?
I would open it up a little more. I'm not saying Westfield would go play Evansville, but you could open it up where like it's the regional. So like feeds up in the Kokomo area. So like our sectional in the Kokomo area, is there a way that you could at least do that? I understand they're never going to be, hey, it's the entire state where you've got Westfield going to play Evansville on a Tuesday night. I understand that. But you could certainly say Westfield could play Kokomo or Lafayette Harrison, or so you can make that work. So I think sectional and regional, take those teams, and you could maybe do that. But I just think it's time that they look at that. I think maybe one day it'll happen. But I don't see that happening anywhere in the near future, same as the shot clock. That's eventually going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's when. But I don't see that in the next 2, 3, 4 years, but that'll eventually happen. But I would love to see them see the sectionals. Like I said, sectional 8, you're getting, you got Carmel in there, you got Zionsville, HSE, Fishers, us. I mean, it's just year in and year out, there's going to be 2 or 3 of the top 5 teams in the state, and one gets out every year. I would have loved to have been playing Fishers or somebody like that in a regional or even semi-state last year. So I think it's time they take a look at that.
Well, actually, I had a sectional 8 head coach text me, but before we had you on, I said, yeah, we're having Shane Sumpter on. He goes, good coach, good person. So off the floor, you've got some people that have some respect, but I know come March, that sectional 8, there's no love lost between those teams. Coach, can't thank you enough. First Monday in April, I think you would love a spot at Lucas Oil Stadium watching Braden Smith in the national title. Thank you so much for the insight. Good luck to the Shamrocks, and really appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me on.
Shane Sumpter, head coach of the Westfield Shamrocks. I enjoyed that, James Wood.
I did. And it was interesting to hear about the impact that Braden has had, not only in building that program to where it is now, where I feel like Westfield is a pretty good team year in and year out these days.
Sure. Yeah.
And then now seeing where Braden himself is with the Purdue Boilermakers, who obviously have a rich history, and he's just added to it.
And I believe there's a younger Braden Smith brother within the Westfield program. I don't know how old he is now, but I believe that's the case. I looked at this the other day, the Naismith Award. So, you're looking at college basketball player of the year. Braden Smith is the favorite, and Trey Kaufman-Wren is 5th on the list. When do you think the last time you've had a college program with 2 Wooden, I said Naismith, I should have said Wooden Award, 2 Wooden Award finalists in the top 5, and James, those dudes have played 200 games combined in their college basketball careers? It's not like you have the 5-star freshman. That's one of those.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably one of those, Duke or Kentucky teams that had a bunch of guys who were really good. Like, for example, thinking of Zion Williamson, Duke.
Yeah, like RJ Barrett.
Like maybe those 2 were, top 5 on the preseason.
But having like
list.
that veteran experience with them, that's pretty unusual.
It's kind of a throwback sort of feel, which is also why I've enjoyed watching Purdue throughout the years, because you've seen some of the same players throughout the years. Whereas, that landscape isn't always the case around the rest of the college world.
I think I'm in on Shane Sumpter seeding the sectional. Involve the regional teams?
Well, being the Illinois transplant, they seeded in Illinois, and I think it works much better that way.
Do they seed the sectionals geographically? Like, would you keep the sectionals the same teams, or would you do what Shane said?
I think that's how they do it.
Open it up a little bit.
I would personally love to open it up a little bit, but I think logistically it's probably easier to ease into just let's see the sectional for now, which I would take. I know people have their, pros and cons of both. Tradition is one of the bigger ones when it comes to just the randomness of the tournament and the draw, but I don't like it when it's very obvious early on, okay, here's the championship game on the first night of sectional weekend.
Yeah, I definitely hear him out on you can't have Westfield playing Evansville Rights on a Tuesday, but you could easily have Evansville playing Muncie Central or Kokomo or Harrison, some of those teams that he laid out there. A little bit more of the Fever front. Kelsey Casper, the Fever sideline reporter, going to join us here in a few. Mark Dykton, let's check it out.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
So we sit here on this Thursday morning, the status of Caitlin Clark for tomorrow's three-point contest and Saturday's All-Star game, very much up in the air. She did not play last night after an MRI in New York on an injured right groin. It sounds like, based off what Stephanie White said, this will be up to Caitlin and her team to decide what her activity will be like on the floor coming up this weekend. Last night without her, James Boyd, it did not go very well for the Indiana Fever against Liberty.
No, it did not go well. Brianna Stewart's still very amazing at basketball, but if you're looking at her, she did tear her Achilles a few years ago. She's back playing at a very high level, so, get some advice from, or send some advice to Tyrese Halliburton.
So again, Fever and now All-Star break for them. Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston, of course, will be involved in All-Star weekend. There's part of me that's like, are they really going to take this to like an hour before the three-point contest to announce if Caitlin Clark's going to play or not?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the hard part about this not being an official game, is that they can wait as long as they want to announce this.
Have some respect for the fans. Announce it today. Yes or no. Whatever.
I don't think we're getting that answer today, to be honest with you.
I think that's kind of bad form.
Waiting?
To
Yes.
wait?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, but
I think it's awful.
I mean, I get it. People have already bought tickets and they're in town and the hotels have been paid for and all that stuff. But, I think you'd like to have some sense of what's happening
I completely agree.
Even when she was questioned about the injury report yesterday, I'm like, there's no chance in hell she's playing in that game.
Yeah, that was a waste of time.
And officially was ruled.
Well, that was when she had her first groin injury and they had the game. The next game was in Dallas. I'm like, well, she's not playing that game. Not getting on a plane.
Yeah.
And that was the Paige
Plane.
Beckers game.
Yeah, but I think the trend that I've seen is that they list her as day-to-day. And I do wonder, not saying that the injury itself is not legit. The injury is legit. But is part of the conversation or the pressure from the league to say, well, don't just say you're going to be out for a month because that could affect money or ticket sales or visibility, whatever the case may be. I don't know. But I do think that is that a factor.
All right, tomorrow's skills competition, three-point contest, and then again the All-Star game, 8:30 Saturday night over at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Pacers Summer League, 2 games now the next 2 days, and this is it for them. Today, 4:30 against the Knicks. That's ESPN 2, 9 o'clock tomorrow against the Pelicans. And James, now we kind of await exactly what the Pacers lineup looks like. Typically, when you get to the end of the stay in Vegas, just like all long trips in Vegas, eventually you have to bow out of Johnny Furphy, Taylor Peter, Cam Jones. Will they continue to play? Quentin Jackson, only played 1 game out there. So that will be what I'll be watching for coming up the next couple of nights. The Open Championship underway, 153rd from Royal Portrush. You've got 2 guys in the clubhouse at 4 under. Jakob Skalv Olsen from Denmark. He's a lefty. He's a 6'3" lefty. Him and Hao Tong Lee. Hao Tong Lee is very tall as well from China. Those 2 at 4 under par. You got Matthew Fitzpatrick up there at 3 under. Lee Westwood turning back the clock a little bit. I did see Phil Mickelson shot 1 under.
That make you upset?
It does. But I need to be a journalist and just mention it.
Who do you dislike more, Phil or Bryson?
Oh, definitely Bryson. For sure, Bryson.
Dang, you said that with quickness.
Has Bryson teed off yet, Mark? Do we know?
If he has, I haven't seen him yet. I don't think he has.
So we'll keep you updated on the Open. Speaking of outside of the United States, north of the border for IndyCar coming up this weekend. That would be the Toronto race. Scott Dixon has had great history there. Actually, Alex Palou hasn't had a ton of great history there based off other tracks. Colton Herta, your defending champ. So typical cadence. Friday and afternoon practice, Saturday practice and quals, Sunday early practice. I believe the green flag right around noon coming up on Sunday. All right, on the other side, you see her on the Fever Games, the sideline reporter, alongside Pat Boylan and Debbie Antonelli. It is Kelsey Casper. She'll join us next.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, thank you to Shane Sumpter, the Westfield boys basketball coach, getting some great detail, not only on the career of Braden Smith when he rocked a Shamrock uniform, but a little bit more on just any changes he'd like to see with high school basketball moving forward. Let's head to the Payless Stickers hotline again, and certainly it is going to be a busy weekend in the Circle City with the WNBA All-Star Game, and honestly, we probably should thank our guest. James Boyd, when you said that Kelsey Casper was going to join us this morning, I thought to myself, what time did she get done working and go to bed last night?
For some context here, I did not put two and two together because I had it on the national broadcast, and I thought she was off. And I didn't realize it was also
they're on
the local.
WTHR too.
Yeah, so yeah. I apologize, Kelsey, because I texted her. Not only did I text her to see if she can come on, I texted her during the game. I thought she was on her couch, and she's like texting me or messaging me back during the game. So I appreciate you, accommodating us, and I hope that you get. Did you get any sleep last night, Kelsey?
I did. And you know what? The funny thing is, you guys, I got in at about 3 o'clock, and I live in an apartment building. The fire alarm went off at 6:30 this morning, and I had to get up and get out. So
Kelsey, go back to bed. You do not need to be joining us. This is not heroes work here. Oh my God!
You cannot be making this up. Really, a fire alarm right now. So I've been taking a couple naps so far since I got in at about 3 a.m. But we're up and ready to go, you guys. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, God bless you.
Boy, just twist the knife a little bit more. Apologies on that end, but we do greatly appreciate the time. I guess let's just start with the obvious storyline. The pregame availability seemed to be more of the update from Stephanie White, but for those that have missed it, the latest on Caitlin Clark's right groin is what?
Yeah, right now it appears to be a day-to-day situation after the Connecticut Sun game. In about like the last minute or so, Caitlin obviously leaving the game and was listed as questionable the day of a back-to-back leading up to their game against New York. It was after Stephanie told us in that press conference during the day she was evaluated, had imaging done, and then that is when they downgraded her to out. But it's when Stephanie was talking about it, someone had asked when she re-injured her groin, and Stephanie clarified that she obviously doesn't know too much about this, but she doesn't know if it's really a re-injury as much as a new injury. But any time that she can identify an injury as something that is day-to-day, she views that as a good thing. Obviously, up until that point, there was no discussion on what her status for the All-Star game or the three-point competition would be, so we're waiting still to hear on that. But just it's a really tough thing for this team, and obviously a tough mental battle that Caitlin's had to deal with this entire season. She has missed 11 games now, and obviously the team is just trying to keep her in good spirits. It's not something that she is, out for an entire season and knows she has to deal with this injury, but it's kind of just these nagging injuries or reoccurring things that keep happening to her, and that's affecting the team.
Kelsey, I completely agree with your point there, and I think for Caitlin, a lot of the stress is, the injuries that she has requires you to kind of sit down, and she's like, well, we're in the season. I can't sit down. So there's certainly a balance there. But if you had to describe the overall theme of this season, Fever at 12-11 going into the All-Star break, I would imagine they have a sigh of relief getting some break and getting a rest period here. But how would you sort of describe how the season has gone versus, what some of the highs and lows that have been included in all of it?
Yeah, I think there has been really, really good highs. I mean, they beat the best team in the league for Commissioner's Cup championship, but they've also, had a ton of lows and dealt with so much adversity just in the first half of the season. I think what they've been battling the most is just finding consistency, which, to cut them some slack, it's really hard to do when you haven't had your full available roster almost this entire season. Basically the last 3 games or the last 4 games prior to New York is when they were really at full strength for almost the first time the entire season. They really have never practiced with their full squad. So finding that consistency has been really tough. We have seen when they're at their best, we have seen that in spurts, but trying to replicate that day in and day out has been the challenge for this team. So they're hoping to obviously take this reset right now, take this break, a little bit more of a mental break. And honestly, it's not really even that long of a break, especially with the All-Star weekend here in Indianapolis. But just trying to take a mental pause here, but know that they have to be ready to come back and play come next week.
Running on fumes, we greatly appreciate Kelsey Casper still joining us here on this Thursday morning. Part of excellent crew, Pat Boylan, Debbie Antonelli, and her. You see them on plenty of Fever broadcasts. Kelsey, Saturday night we have the All-Star game, 8:30. A couple of new rule changes for the game. There will be, which we've seen this, I think, past couple of years. There will be a couple of 4-point circles from 28 feet out. You got 2 at each end of the floor. You have a 20-second shot clock. You have hockey-like subs, and no free throws until the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. So of those 4, the 4-point play, the 20-second shot clock, the hockey subs, no free throws until the end of the game. Any of them you like to see implemented permanently?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe the 4-point play, or what was the first one that you said?
Yeah, so 4-point circles. This seems to be, I swear, Caitlin Clark drew this up.
Caitlin Clark's going to make that one. The Fever be getting 4-point plays all the time.
Right. I mean, literally, you'd be drawing set plays for that. Yeah, 4-point circles,
Exactly.
2 on each end of the floor, 28 feet out. I also think AT&T, if you make those shots, I guess they're going to donate some money to WNBA charity. So kind of a cool aspect to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, that in terms of the Fever standpoint, they want that one.
That's the easy vote.
So,
Yeah.
Kelsey, I know, again, Fever fans are on edge right now with Caitlin Clark, her status for All-Star Weekend. But we do know there's another player who is participating in an event, and that would be Sydney Colson off the court in her stand-up comedy event, I believe, at the Amphitheater on Saturday night. I think the doors open at 5. Event starts at 6 with Sydney Colson opening the show, I believe. And what has been your interaction with Sydney, and how have you seen her just spread that joy throughout a team, especially in a season like this where it has been a bit trying?
Mm-hmm. Sid obviously has an incredible personality, but it's really the balance of both. You know, she is someone who is so hilarious, just even in shoot around and practices, like her one little liner that she says that just cracks everyone up. She's incredibly funny, but she's also such a pro. When you're listening into those huddles, before coach gets in there, Sid is the first one who is talking. She's a pro. She knows how to win. She uses her voice. I think she is the loudest voice in this locker room, and she's a great veteran presence for this team. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to her comedy set, but I am so sad about that because I think she's going to be hilarious. Caitlin kind of spoke about it, and she said, she spoke with you about it, James. And,
yeah.
You know, she said that she's got a very witty sense of humor. She's quick on her feet. Just like I said, the one-liner she says in response to things, she's so funny. She tried to get her to, you know, crack some jokes with her, practice her set on her, but she said no. So I guess we'll have to see and hopefully hear some highlights from it as well.
I'll get you a DVD if they still have those.
There you go.
That's the oldest thing you've ever said on this show, James Boyd. Kelsey Casper, again, you see her Fever sidelines alongside Pat Boylan and Debbie Antonelli. And next up, coming up Tuesday as they return from the All-Star break. Kelsey, you certainly need some extra sleep today, and hopefully you get a little bit of refresh and recharge of the batteries here during the All-Star break. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Kelsey Casper right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. Tomorrow, guest-wise, we kind of got a variety here. We'll have Barry Odom, Purdue head football coach. We had him on right after he was hired. Purdue getting ready to start camp. I want to say early next week. Does that sound right, Mark? They go out to Vegas for Media Days.
Yes, sir.
So Big Ten Media Days out
That's
in
so crazy
Vegas.
to me. Big Ten Media Days in Vegas.
I know.
I mean, I'd happily do a show from out there.
Yeah, inside this time of year.
You don't want to melt? What are you talking about?
Well, I think you can melt in a lot of ways, unfortunately.
Man, last time I was in Vegas, I want to say it might have been August, and it was blazing.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law got married in Vegas to her husband, and it was 115 degrees outside.
Oh, Lord.
Dear, just jump in the fountain right now. Howard Medgall is going to join us at 8:30 in studio. He has written a book, Becoming Caitlin Clark. And he's kind of making some of the book rounds on that. So he'll join us in studio. He's obviously in Indianapolis to market it here over WNBA All-Star Weekend. I believe he's got a book signing up in Westfield coming up on Saturday. And then we've had him on before, the great television voice of, I would say primarily the women's basketball voice. I think you can call him that, among others. Ryan Rucco. He's going to join us at 9 o'clock. Yes, indeed. You bet. I felt like he called a Pacer playoff game. Am I imagining things?
He might have.
Honestly, was it him and Stephanie White that did the first game of the playoffs? Pacers Bucks?
That feels like
Grady?
2 years ago at this point.
Maybe it was Grady.
I know Grady did at least one of the games. I want to say it actually was Grady and stuff.
Okay. Well, I think it was Grady at some point, Rico at some point as well. So have enjoyed our convos with him before. He is on the call for both All-Star Friday night, tomorrow night skills competition and 3-point, and then Saturday the event itself. Do you agree with Kelsey? You want the 4-point play out of those rule changes?
Out of all of those,
one of you idiots like the hockey sub.
Dang.
It's a bit harsh.
Right.
Yes,
I'm an idiot for liking the hockey for the All-Star game. Yeah. Why are we stopping the game?
I didn't say they're gonna do like hip checks or something.
You don't
like
have to
that.
stop the game. The ball goes out of bounds. They sub in like any other game.
I'm sure there's some rules there where like you can't like sub in like past half court or something.
Are they gonna call that icing?
No. I need these women to be able to pull off the TJ McConnell a few times with the hockey subs and just run off the sideline and pick off the inbounds pass, throw it in.
Even if they do, it's the All-Star game. Who gives a bleep?
I think you're just the Grinch. You're the Grinch.
Under or something? Are you freaking out?
I'm the Grinch.
Calm down over there.
Hockey subs.
Yep.
Mr. No Sleeves.
I know. He walks in with no sleeves, and now all of a sudden, he's telling us what to
we're
do.
2.5 hours into the show. I don't think anyone's complimented me on my arms.
Oh, somebody did. They said, I think he was way earlier in the chat. I think it was Calvin or somebody said, what's whiter, Kevin's jersey or his arms?
Well, again, from a pigmentation standpoint, it's heavy dose of Blanco blends in well with the white Butler jersey, right? But the definition you could say is lacking.
Well, we have a weight room in the basement, so get out there, throw up some hoops on
I
that
will
low
say, though,
ceiling. And
Kevin does come in with the duffel bag every couple of days, and he gets it in. So I got to give my boy some credit here. He's pretty disciplined.
I think it's just for show. It's just kind of the. Hopefully, you guys think.
Are you
that
the kid who?
It's 20-sided die. He's going to Dungeons and Dragons tournaments.
I'm like
after the
putting
show.
water on my forehead. You guys think it's sweat?
Like Kevin, were you the kid who opened your bag up for an AAU trip and you have your shoes in there or something like that? Had it happen a couple of times with some of my teammates, and my coach just lost his mind.
Yeah, I did forget my golf shoes the second day of the state finals. I will never forget that
I
senior
was so
year.
terrified.
Yeah, thank you to Dr. Plager for stopping at school and grabbing those. Very much needed. All right, we'll do it one final time here on the Fan Morning Show. We've got to take a giveaway to round things out here. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
No, Mark Dykton, you care to defend yourself with that JMV tease today? It will be you and Eddie Garrison from 3 to 6, and I believe you said don't nerd it up and no wrestling talk.
We will probably have some wrestling talk. We can have wrestling talk. I mean, there's two men in this room when Eddie and I walk in, but I don't know if there's enough ego compared to JMV's between the two of us.
That's fair.
Somewhere I hope John is listening.
Although Jake
right
will
now.
be in here when I slide in at some
I'm
point.
not letting you
so.
off the hook either, JMV. Yeah, I skipped playing basketball with you at Southport because of my job. And here are you taking time off for what? For what reason is that? I know he ain't sick. He's
Probably
never sick.
his side gig on Mr. Skin to look up like best boobs of the 80s or whatever he does.
Is that what the search history on this
Probably
on this computer is right here?
Yeah. Heather Locklear, 1980s. Hot.
Speaking of that, seamless transition. You never know what you'll see at the Indiana State Fair. 4-pack of tickets. Mark, let's just reward Fast Fingers here in the final segment of the show. 317-239-1070. Reminder, 3 weeks from today, we'll be down at the Legends for our golf outing. A couple things I love about the golf outing. Thank you to Franciscan Health for their partnership. 1, 10 a.m. start time. So we'll do our show, and then boom, we're teeing off. So, one thing about golf outings I don't love is like you do the noon shotgun, you're there till like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So if you've got stuff to get to, kid stuff, whatever, family stuff, boom, you're good. 10 a.m. start time. You can get back and attending those. And I believe they have listened to me because I had a few ideas on this, James Boyd. I want JMV doing Pop-A-Shot on a hole. Getting buckets. You have a shooting competition against him. You outshoot him. Boom. You get a tee off from the forward tee. Something like that.
Yeah.
Jake Query doing trivia on a hole.
That is a very Jake Query
Seems to fit Jake well.
Mm-hmm.
If you're able to win a little Jeopardy contest with Jake, boom. Whatever. You get
and
a
then
mulligan.
A Speedo contest with Kevin.
Well, yeah, thankfully
to round things out.
We'll not be doing that. And I don't know. Maybe I'll post up on a par 3 and hit some shots and try to help some groups out. So hopefully those will be part of August 7th down at the Legends.
I will say I will have an update for you all tomorrow because I am going to preview the WNBA live events later. So for all of you who might have young kids or just curious yourselves what's available over at the Indiana Convention Center over the next couple of days, I will see the behind the scenes.
I love that.
Beforehand. And so I will report back tomorrow with what I think are some of the cool things to do.
Love that. Yes, I am thinking about taking Rosie, honestly, to that coming up on Saturday. If it's anything like it was for the NBA, it'll be really cool.
It was awesome.
Great activation. Honestly, stuff for adults and stuff for kids.
Yep.
So, again, Convention Center. We've mentioned the Sydney Colson comedy routine. That is coupled with some concerts over at White River. So we had Joey Graziano in studio yesterday, and he shared some of the events over there. So White River Amphitheater, for those that haven't been in a couple of years there, it is the renovation's awesome over there. So there, Convention Center, Georgia Street's got a ton of orange carpet is down. You'll see a lot of orange in downtown right now. That is a part of the activities. And today, James, behind the scenes, a whole lot of CBA talk between players, and I assume that Caitlin Clark is heavily involved with that.
Yeah, and credit to her for even wanting to kind of take that on. I know people kind of expect her to, but she does have the choice to say no in some of these things because she, I would imagine, has had a lot of individual success, but her willingness to try to spread that success around, that attention around to others is admirable.
Alex here in the YouTube chat, he goes, I thought that the tank was a long sleeve. I'm rocking a Butler jersey, tank top here, no undershirt. He thought it was a long sleeve.
Alex, I don't have that problem.
Yeah,
that might have been the comment of the show right there.
Don't.
I got a good laugh out of that one.
That is funny. I will say we're both rocking the Indiana gear, though. This is from home field. So
I do love that shirt. Indiana All-Star shirt that James Boyd is rocking. Again, thank you to Shane Sumpter for coming on. Braden Smith's high school coach. I think people enjoy that interview. Just hearing about Braden Smith and that high school career, but also, any rule changes for the high school scene. Reminder tomorrow, Barry Odom, Purdue head coach, we'll have on at 8 o'clock. Ryan Rucco calling the WNBA All-Star game coming up on Friday. Skills competition Saturday, the game itself. That will happen at 9 a.m. He will join us. We'll keep you posted on the Caitlin Clark injury status. Pacers Summer League game, 4:30 today on ESPN2. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton signing off. Everybody have a great Thursday.